Chapter 270, Jian Wushuang displays his moves. Chapter 270, Jian Wushuang displays his moves. Yi Sei is defeated. Chen Feng is definitely the number one among the young disciples in the Wilderness Sword Sect. His strength is really powerful. Before, I had been thinking that Yi Sei would win. However, the result is, what a disappointment Yi Sei is. I don't know what's wrong. But I have the feeling that Yi Sei didn't seem to have tried his utmost. At the exchange meeting, the experts from different sects were casually talking about the fight between Yi Sei and Chen Feng a while ago. But no matter how they analyzed, the fight was over, and Yi Sei had lost. The disciples in the Wilderness Sword Sect were all pleasantly surprised. The heavily built, middle-aged man who seemed the leader even laughed out brightly. Who else present wants to step up and take the challenge? Standing at the center of the martial arts practice field, Chen Feng looked across, with a slight sneer flashing across his eyes. The disciples who were standing around the martial arts practice field looked at each other in dismay, with their heads secretly shaking. Even Yi Sei was defeated by Chen Feng. How would the disciples in these sects have the courage to fight with Chen Feng? However, at this moment, a black figure stood up from the disciples of the Daluo Heaven sect. He then slowly walked towards the center of the martial arts practice field. Suddenly, a large number of eyes moved upon the black figure from across the martial arts practice field. Everybody was staring at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang ignored their eyes, and walked to the center on the martial arts practice field. Looking at Chen Feng who was in front of him, a clear and cold voice suddenly spewed out of his mouth, "I am Swordsman from the Daluo Heaven sect. Please enlighten me." The martial arts practice field was in tumult at once. Swordsman? Who is Swordsman? I have never heard of you. Daluo Heaven sect? Is there a disciple named Swordsman in the Daluo Heaven sect? The genius disciples of the old sects all looked awed. Being the two strongest sects in the whole northern region, the Wilderness Sword Sect and the Daluo Heaven sect were naturally very attractive. So people knew how many disciples these two sects had and who they were. However, they had never heard that there was a genius disciple called Swordsman in the Daluo Heaven sect. Where are you from? I have never heard of you, and you want to fight with me? Get out of here, Chen Feng snarled. He then lifted his hand and slashed his sword directly towards Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang shifted his body, and warded off this sword easily. Finally the sword light landed on the martial arts practice field, and suddenly there came to a huge sword scar on the ground. The sword scar was more than a half-meter wide. Although Jian Wushuang was warding off the sword. However, at the same time while he was warding off, he was activating his spiritual power. By then, his spiritual power broke out, and then his cultivation was naturally revealed in public. Noticing the spiritual power and breath spread out from Jian Wushuang, the experts on the whole martial arts practice field were stunned. Followed by an outburst of laughter. Ha, is this person kidding us? What did I see? An initial Yang Void Realm? Where is the idiot from? How dare an initial Yang Void Realm challenge Chen Feng? Does the Daluo Heaven sect have no experts now? Why they send a young man who just achieved the initial Yang Void Realm to challenge? Numerous eyes around the practice field were fixed on Jian Wushuang with contempt and arrogance. The disciples from the Daluo Heaven sect who were standing aside also darkened their faces. Elder Ling Han, what's going on? A disciple from the Daluo Heaven sect asked. It was known that among the disciples from the Daluo Heaven sect who were at the meeting, the weakest one was in the exceptional Yang Void Realm level. No matter who stepped on the practice field, he might fail in defeating Chen Feng, but at least he wouldn't cause laughter from the different sects. A disciple with initial Yang Void Realm level from the Daluo Heaven sect, and he attempted to challenge Chen Feng who was at the peak of the Yang Void Realm level. If this got out, the Daluo Heaven sect would be a joke. Shut up, just watch. Don't ask too much, Lin Han snarled, without explaining too much. Standing on the martial arts practice field, Chen Feng also noticed Jian Wushuang's cultivation of spiritual power. He was extremely stunned, but followed by his laughter. Ha, are the experts in the Daluo Heaven Sect all thoughtless people like you? Hearing this, the genius disciples from the Daluo Heaven Sect all felt shame. They even wanted to find a rock and hide themselves under. However, Jian Wushuang's face was extremely cold. No need to talk nonsense. Just display your moves and show me your full strength. Otherwise, you will have no chance, Jian Wushuang said coldly. I won't have a chance. It's you who won't have a chance. Chen Feng's face was cold. What an ignorant idiot. Since you are looking for a death, then I will help you out. No sooner had he uttered this, that Chen Feng suddenly moved his body. With a gliding move, Chen Feng appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. At the same time, he fiercely stabbed his long sword, and an overpowering wind thunder essence realm suddenly broke out. The sword essence broke through the void, and caused a burst of crackling sounds on the void. This sword was full of monstrous power. Chen Feng had apparently activated his full strength. How come Chen Feng dealt with an initial Yang void realm with his full power? Does he want to? He didn't spare his strength. Is he trying to kill that young man? Even if that fellow is killed, so what? He is just initial Yang void realm, and he dares to challenge Chen Feng, which was very arrogant. It's reasonable if he gets killed by Chen Feng. And the Daluo Heaven Sect can't say anything afterwards, since their disciple is overconfident. Everybody was looking at them. It's unbelievable that Chen Feng wants to kill me. Jian Wushuang sneered. Well, it saved me a lot of trouble. A second later, Jian Wushuang moved his body. Chen Feng's eyes turned cold. He almost slashed his sword out with his utmost, which was even difficult for an expert at the peak of the Yang Void Realm to block. Chen Feng indeed wanted to kill Jian Wushuang. He didn't worry about the Daluo Heaven Sect giving him trouble, since Jian Wushuang was too overconfident. His sword had reached near Jian Wushuang, and was about to stab into Jian Wushuang's body. However, at this moment, Jian Wushuang suddenly looked up, and gave Chen Feng a cold glance. The glance freaked Chen Feng out, and Chen Feng felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. Instantly, Jian Wushuang disappeared from Chen Feng's view. Jian Wushuang just disappeared in front of Chen Feng's eyes. What? This caught Chen Feng by surprise. He had not reacted before he noticed a strong wind blowing from the side. Chen Feng struggled to turn around, and happened to see a cold sword light gliding to him, and it glanced off his neck. Chi! There came the sound of a sword edge stabbing into the body, followed by a huge head flying off. Chen Feng remained with his eyes widened. He felt a spell of dizziness, and with his fading vision, he saw a black figure in front of him. What is that? Chen Feng subconsciously thought. But soon after, he saw it clearly that the black figure was his body. Chen Feng tried to say something. However, he could only utter a word. A second later, his head just fell on the ground. It rolled on the ground for a few circles, and then no more movements were heard. Chapter 271, Shocking Everyone. Chapter 271, Shocking Everyone. The whole martial arts practice field turned still immediately. Those geniuses and experts from different sects, including Daluo Heaven Sect, were shocked, and they saw that Chen Feng's head was thrown on the ground. Just now, they all thought that Jian Wushuang, who was at the initial Yang Void Realm yet still dared to fight with Chen Feng, was just a joke. But now, in a flash, Chen Feng was killed. Good job. Ling Han looked to be in ecstasy. He had been anxious whether Jian Wushuang would be able to kill Chen Feng before, but now. Just one move. On the other hand, in the Wilderness Sword Sect, the robust middle-aged man, the leader, and those geniuses were all shocked and speechless. They had looked down on Jian Wushuang before. The robust middle-aged man was shocked initially, and then he became infuriated. Damn it, how dare he kill my disciple of the Wilderness Sword Sect? After roaring, the robust middle-aged man's figure moved out just like a thunderbolt. A salvo of horrible killing intent fell on Jian Wushuang instantly. Chen Feng, who Jian Wushuang killed, was the son of the Wilderness Sword Sect master. Because of the death of Chen Feng, as a leading elder, he was unable to shoulder the guilt. Based on the character of Wilderness Sword Sect master, he would be killed cruelly if he returned to his sect without killing the murderer. The moment that the robust man approached Jian Wushuang, Ling Han also moved. Ling Han was ready to block the experts from the Wilderness Sword sect if they joined in the fight. However, Ling Han did not have enough time to block the robust man. Jian Wushuang, who was standing at the center of the martial arts practice field, dashed toward the robust man at this moment. What is he doing? Ling Han was confounded. Based on his plan, Jian Wushuang would flee after killing Chen Feng. However, he did not escape but dashed toward the robust man. If Jian Wushuang fled or even stood still, Ling Han was confident that he could block the robust man before he attacked Jian Wushuang. But now, Jian Wushuang had dashed and the distance between Jian Wushuang and the robust man was narrowing. Ling Han was unable to block the robust man. He is crazy. Ling Han was overwhelmed. The experts from the different sects were looking at Jian Wushuang in shock. A super expert, who was at the half-saint level, approached him. He did not escape but dashed toward him. Was Jian Wushuang really insane? Of course not. A month ago, without executing soul devouring, based on the comprehension of origin and my swordsmanship, I could outclass the three-person sword formation executed by the three warriors at the level of the peak of the Yang Void Realm, including Imo Ling Tian. My battle strength was not weaker than the warriors who was at the level of peak of the Yang Void Realm and had comprehended origin, even a little bit stronger. And now, my comprehension of origin has achieved this level, so my strength surged again. Warriors who are at the half-saint are not qualified to let me retreat. A salvo of terrific battle intent was condensing in Jian Wushuang's body. Other experts, who were at the Yang Void Realm, would escape without hesitation. However, at this moment, he wanted to fight with the half-saint. An expert at the half-saint level. Let me try. Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed and a terrific sword essence burst out from his body at the same time. Instantly, a thick blanket of gray fog covered the robust middle-aged man. Sword Realm, Sword Fog. After 3 days of learning Sword Realm, he had thoroughly mastered the moves and this move he displayed was stronger than that which Xue displayed. The robust middle-aged man was caught in the Sword Realm, and his body was affected by the surrounding sword essence. At this time, both his speed and power were hindered. Do you think that with this little trick you can save yourself? The robust middle-aged man roared and lots of thunderbolts burst out from his body's surface to destroy everything in the world. His whole body became a thunder god of war, appearing in front of Jian Wushuang. Boom! A fist containing thousands of thunderbolts slammed directly into Jian Wushuang's head and the terrible spiritual power burst out instantly. Jian Wushuang's eyes shrank and the triple-kill sword was trembling in his hands. Afterward, an imperious force of origin of the world was accumulating. During this accumulation, the origin shook the heaven and earth and then the origin surged to a new level. Selfless Sword Technique, 6th move. Schwa. The incomparably gorgeous move, also containing a terrible incomparable power, flashed out. It collided with the overpowering fist. Boom! A loud noise like a roar of thunder erupted. Immediately, they saw the place where the two attacks met. Boom! The terrific power was crazily crashing and colliding, and formed many blast waves. These blast waves materialized and rippled like water. And then those blast waves smashed into the ground below. The ground of the martial arts practice field was made of firm carbonite. Although more than 10 battles had occurred in the previous gathering, the ground was not damaged, barring a few little depressions made by the fiercely fight between Chen Feng and Yise. But at this time, the ground of the entire martial arts practice field was torn up and turned into powder, blowing away. Only one confrontation and the effects were so surprising. Around the martial arts practice field, the geniuses and experts from different sects were also affected. Many people closed their eyes. Only a few strong experts could squint at the fierce battle at the center of the martial arts practice field. Alright, it was a duel. At the center of the martial arts practice field, the two tyrannical forces madly collided and no one was the clear winner. How could this be? That robust middle-aged man, who was from the Wilderness Sword Sect, was astonished. He was indeed a half-saint expert. Although he was still not doing his best, his fist could not be parried by a warrior who was at the level of the initial Yang Void Realm. Jian Wushuang, who was in front of him, said coldly, "A half-saint expert is not bad." After saying that, the power in the Jian Wushuang's sword surged again and then it directly forced the robust middle-aged man to retreat. The robust middle-aged man retreated to the void and was still confounded. Soon, he raised his head again and his eyes filled with panic were focusing on Jian Wushuang firmly. He was ready to kill Jian Wushuang with his whole strength. However, at this point, humph! A cold groan was sounding out above the martial arts practice field suddenly. At the same time, a transcendent breath appeared. The breath represented an owner who was at the level of the divine transcendence. The people from the Wilderness Sword Sect are really overbearing. After the words finished, an expert of the Saint Realm from the Daluo Heaven Sect, who had been hiding in the dark for a long time, appeared. Chapter 272, Making Unfounded Charges. Chapter 272, Making Unfounded Charges. An expert of the Saint Realm. The robust middle-aged man, who was ready to kill Jian Wushuang with his whole strength, was surprised. In the previous disciples' gathering, the team leader of every sect was only a half-saint expert. However, this time, the Daluo Heaven Sect had dispatched an expert of the Saint Realm to this gathering. This expert of the Saint Realm wore a gray robe and had gray hair but was very eye-catching. The fourth elder in the Daluo Heaven Sect, Lu Hanyue. It's him. The gray-robed elder was recognized by the surrounding experts from different sections. An expert from Wilderness Sword Sect wants to bully the juniors? Since that is the case, I also must bully juniors today, the gray-robed elder Lu Hanyue said coldly. Then, like a breeze blowing, his figure floated out. Elder Lu, the robust middle-aged man, who was from the Wilderness Sword Sect, was speaking but interrupted by an incident where the space before him cracked. A hoary palm, containing vast spiritual power, slapped on his chest in an instant. Although he was a half-saint level expert, he had absolutely no resistance when he fought with a real Saint Realm expert, especially Lu Hanyue who had stayed at the level for more than 10 years and had formed the saintly body. Immediately he only felt that an unprecedented giant force had passed from him. His dantian shattered and he was crushed at this moment. Immediately he spouted a large mouthful of blood. His body was flung like a broken kite. When he stabilized his body, his face was already pale. My dantian, my dantian! The robust man yelled in a fury. Lu Hanyue displayed this move with his whole strength and directly destroyed his dantian. Because of the Wilderness Sword Sect Sake, I have left your life. But your Wilderness Sword Sect must give me an account of what happened today. Lu Hanyue's voice reverberated through the whole martial arts practice field. All experts were shocked this time. The robust middle-aged man from the Wilderness Sword Sect looked furious. Obviously, your disciples of the Daluo Heaven Sect killed Qin Feng. And then you destroyed the dantian of the half-saint expert from the Wilderness Sword Sect. But now you made unfounded claims that you should force the Wilderness Sword Sect to give you an account. Thinking about it more, in this disciples' gathering, it was normal that disciples couldn't control themselves and couldn't help but kill the other disciples. At the beginning, Qin Feng wanted to kill Jian Wushuang but Jian Wushuang killed him. It was not a crime. However, a half-saint expert from the Wilderness Sword Sect wanted to fight with Jian Wushuang. That was indeed excessive. Fortunately, Jian Wushuang had great strength. If a normal disciple fought with the half-saint expert, the disciples would be killed directly by the robust middle-aged man. Therefore, Lu Hanyue wanted Wilderness Sword Sect to give him an account. It was logical and reasonable. After thinking that, those experts from different sects all understood Lu Hanyue's request. However, the people from the Wilderness Sword Sect all gave a grievous look. An account? The robust middle-aged man muffled his voice at this time. Lu Hanyue, you are from the Daluo Heaven Sect and killed the disciple of our Wilderness Sword Sect. Besides, the disciple was the son of our sect master. In addition, you have destroyed my Dantian. And you want our Wilderness Sword Sect to give you an account. This is too much bad. Wait for our Wilderness Sword Sect's account. Go. After saying that, the people from the Wilderness Sword Sect took Qinfeng's body and then they left. After seeing the people from the Wilderness Sword Sect leave, Lu Hanyue smiled coldly. He waved his hands and then the people from the Daluo Heaven Sect also left. On the way to the Daluo Heaven Sect, Chen Feng was killed and one elder's Dantian was destroyed by fourth elder. They lost a lot. However, the Daluo Heaven Sect is always overbearing, so they will counterattack, Ling Han said with a smile. Thank you for today's achievement. Ling Han looked at Jian Wushuang. Not only him, but also at this moment all the disciples of the Daluo Heaven Sect were looking at Jian Wushuang with veneration. No one ever thought that the merely 21-year-old swordsman had such great strength, although his cultivation of spiritual power was only the initial Yang Void Realm. Chen Feng was the peak of the Yang Void Realm at least, and he was as strong as Yi Sei, who was the strongest among them. However, he was killed by Jian Wushuang's one move. What's more important was that Jian Wushuang did not retreat but dashed toward the half-saint expert from the Wilderness Sword Sect. And then the half-saint expert retreated. It was incredible. These events looked impossible for those disciples, but Jian Wushuang had done it. Not to mention them, even the fourth elder Lu Hanyue, who was at divine transcendence, looked at Jian Wushuang strangely. Before he had been hiding in the dark, he saw everything, including the scene that Jian Wushuang displayed his move. The strength Jian Wushuang showed did not match with his age. Not long after, everyone returned to the Daluo Heaven Sect. The Daluo Heaven Sect master and many elders had been waiting outside the gate. You are back. Daluo Heaven Sect master, a mighty handsome middle-aged man, smiled gently and looked at Jian Wushuang with interest. Sect master, Chen Feng was killed and the Wilderness Sword Sect half-saint expert's Dantian was destroyed by the fourth elder, Ling Han directly said. Oh. Daluo Heaven Sect master lifted his brows and nodded without any surprise. That made Ling Han surprised. Thinking about this, Sect Master had been worried about whether Jian Wushuang could kill Chen Feng before leaving. But now, Sect Master's attitude had changed thoroughly. My little friend, Swordsman, Daluo Heaven Sect Master looked at Jian Wushuang and said, I have a letter from the alchemy school. You should read it. After saying this, he handed the letter to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang raised her eyebrows. After taking the letter, he opened it and skimmed it. And then Jian Wushuang laughed. Daluo Heaven Sect Master also looked at Jian Wushuang with a smile and said, Father and son are both exceptional geniuses and pursue their own goals together in the heaven and earth. Although you are young, your strength, even in our sect, is amazing. A small battle result. It's not bad, Jian Wushuang smiled slightly and said, Everybody, I am here because of the invitation of Alchemy School. I have completed your request. I have other things to do. Goodbye. Do you want to leave now? Daluo Heaven Sect Master was slightly surprised and then he nodded. Okay. We will meet again. If you face any troubles, you can contact our Daluo Heaven Sect. We will try our best to help you. Jian Wushuang lifted his brow and cupped his hands before his chest. Then, he turned around and left. Chapter 273, The Bounty. Chapter 273, the bounty. After Jian Wushuang left, Ling Han asked in amazement, "What's going on, Your Honor?" The sect master of the Daluo Heaven sect handed over the letter to Ling Han. "Read yourself." Taking the letter, Ling Han unfolded it and started reading. Yisei, Junyi, and other disciples of the sect gathered around him. A bounty? As soon as Ling Han read the letter, he seemed to realize something and continued reading. This letter was about a reward offered by Holy Emperor Palace for two people. The first one was Jian Nantian. Jian Nantian, who is from Tianzong dynasty with half-saint cultivation, killed an expert of the saint realm of us Holy Emperor Palace. Jian Wushuang, Jian Nanshan's son, who is in the initial Yang Void realm and has comprehended the slaughter source and origin of the world, had successfully contended with two experts of the saint realm at one time for a while. He is a top genius of the Nanyang continent. These two people are the mortal enemies of us Holy Emperor Palace. Whoever of the sects or solitary experts kills one of them will be awarded a third-grade magic weapon of high rank. Besides, he will also be able to choose one second-grade source secrets of high rank of the palace from 8 at will. Reading the letter, Ling Han and others were both startled. How formidable they are! Can you believe they're actually father and son? The father killed one expert of the saint realm by one shot while the son, in the initial Yang Void realm, contended with two experts of the saint realm at one time. How incredible! It was indeed incredible. Geniuses such as Yisei, Junyi, and the others of the Daluo Heaven sect were very gifted, but compared with the two men who were wanted in the letter, they were no match for them. What's more, that two were father and son. Their portraits are below the words. Take a careful look, said the sect master of the Daluo Heaven sect. Ling Han and others immediately looked down at the two portraits. The first portrait was of an ethereal gray-haired man with whom they were both unfamiliar. The second one was a young man. Looking at him, Ling Han and others were frozen. He is, Ling Han widened his eyes. Yes, he is that swordsman. Junyi and Yisei gasped. Although this portrait was not that clear, they recognized Jian Wushuang at one glance as they had stayed with him for a few days. He helped them kill Chen Feng and left just now. It was until now that they finally understood why the sect master of the Daluo Heaven sect seemed not surprised at all at Jian Wushuang's killing Chen Feng. The reason was that he had already read the letter before and knew that Swordsman was Jian Wushuang. After all, it was no surprise that a top genius, with the ability to contend with two experts of the saint realm at one time, could kill a man who was in the peak of the Yang Void realm and had never comprehended origin. Amazing! Ling Han said in admiration. Yet, the man he was praising had already left Daluo Heaven sect. In the void above the snow-covered land, Jian Wushuang sped up flying ahead, thinking about the bounty. How surprising! The Holy Emperor Palace would think so highly of father and me. Jian Wushuang thought with a smile. He had read the letter too, and it was really astonishing even to him. A third-grade magic weapon of high rank. 1 second-grade source secrets of high rank. Both the two were very valuable and rare. As for the magic weapons, they were rarely seen in the whole Nanyang continent. Normally, a third-grade magic weapon of low rank would be enough to make the ordinary experts of the Saint Realm green with envy, let alone the one of high rank, which would drive them crazy. When it came to the second-grade source secrets of high rank, it must be reminded that even the top sects like the Daluo Heaven sect and the Wilderness Sword sect only had second-grade source secrets of low rank or middle rank at best. Only the super sects like the Holy Emperor Palace and the Alchemy School could own second-grade source secrets of high rank. As rich and powerful as the Holy Emperor Palace was, it could only get 8 such kinds of source secrets, which clearly revealed the difficulty to get such things. The experts of the Saint Realm would definitely fight fiercely for it. Putting the two conditions together, the reward would set the whole Nanyang continent alight. My triple kill sword is a magic weapon as well, and it has restored to second grade. I also got 2 kinds of third grade source secrets in my ancestors' land. But most of the experts of the Saint Realm in Nanyang continent don't have such good luck as I do. I guess large numbers of the experts of the Saint Realm are eyeing father and me after the reward was offered. Jian Wushuang thought. He was right. The Holy Emperor Palace's posting the bounty got the whole Nanyang continent astir. The forces of the various sects, including countless solitary experts, were shocked about the great value of the reward. To be able to choose a third-grade magic weapon of high rank and a second-grade source secrets of high rank was absolutely a sky-high reward. Many senior experts bore both Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian names and appearance in their mind. Once they found their tracks, the other experts would certainly try to find Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian and kill them, carrying their bodies to Holy Emperor Palace for the reward. The bounty had made Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian the enemies of the numerous experts of the Saint Realm in Nanyang continent, making the choices the two faced difficult. Nanyang continent is large, but now the places I can go are fewer because of the bounty. Maybe Tang Dynasty is the only choice for me. Jian Wushuang thought. In Nanyang continent, Tang Dynasty was the place of the most disarray and anarchy. A great number of experts wanted by various sects could be found therein. Therefore, even if Jian Wushuang sometimes showed his strong battle strength in the Tang dynasty, it wouldn't draw others' attention, as it was a vast land of multitudinous experts. Pass over the northern region and I can get to Tang dynasty within 10 days at my full speed. Eyes shining, Jian Wushuang started rushing toward the Tang dynasty with full strength. At the same time, on the peak of a giant mountain in one large empire, a white-haired man, who seemed to be a bit gloomy, was drinking all by himself with his hair fluttering. Beside his feet lay several corpses, and one of them was an expert of divine transcendence, whose breath was still roaring even after dying. Reading through the bounty in his hand, the man, Jian Nantian, smiled contemptuously, and with power gathering in his hand, the bounty instantly turned to ashes. Come for my head, if you dare. Chapter 274, The Kingdom of Death. Chapter 274, The Kingdom of Death. As the number one dynasty in Nanyang continent, the Tang dynasty was famous as a slaughter dynasty. It was vast with an area 10 times larger than that of ordinary large empires and was internally divided into 21 large prefectures, each prefecture taking up a large space with many cities. Jian Wushuang rushed along the northern region, and 10 days later, he made it to the domain of the Tang dynasty. The first city he saw was the Devil Heart city of Skywave Prefecture. This city was just one common city among the thousands of cities in the Tang dynasty. In spite of this, the city was still full of chaos and danger. Among the many gangs in the Devil Heart City, the Bloodseeker Gang and the Hungry Wolf Gang were the strongest. These two evenly matched gangs had been battling with each other all the time in the city, leading to a violent fight every 2 or 3 days. Longsword on his back, Jian Wushuang, who looked young but frosty, stepped into the Devil Heart City in black. There were a few people in the street. The surrounding buildings were tattered mostly because of the fierce battles, while the ground was riddled with potholes. However, in those dilapidated houses gathered some vociferous warriors in 2s and 3s. Those warriors' strength differed widely. The weaker ones were at the level of Gold Core while the stronger ones were at the level of Yin Void. What they had in common was that they all showed a strong desire for killing. The Tang dynasty was the heaven of killer but the hell of the merciful. Everyone here was decisive in killing, as all of them were the real experts who struggled up from nothing. When Jian Wushuang appeared, the entire street suddenly became quiet. The warriors in the surrounding buildings stopped talking, casting their cold eyes on Jian Wushuang. Such a young man, he seems no more than 20. That's very bold of him to come here at such a young age. Generally, there are only 3 kinds of people who'd like to venture out in the Tang dynasty. The first kind is the people wanted by powerful forces. They come in despair and want to seek their survivals here. The second kind is the genius from the big sections. They're gifted with extraordinary talent and come here on purpose for experience. The last kind is the warlike maniacs with the burning desire to kill and to grow stronger in the killing. I was wondering which kind of person this young man is. Whichever, there must be a story behind him. A man like him is always worth much. The surrounding warriors stared at Jian Wushuang, and some of them even stuck out their tongues, licking their lips. There were countless experts in the Tang dynasty, but they were generally older. When a young expert appeared in the Tang dynasty, it always meant that he was one of the three kinds of people and might have many treasures like an interspatial ring with him. Thus, Jian Wushuang's appearance attracted everyone's attention. Some of them were even targeting him. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two figures abruptly appeared beside Jian Wushuang like ghosts, and immediately two chilly flashes thrust toward Jian Wushuang's vitals from both left and right. Damn it! They are one step ahead of us. There. Qing Ling and Qing Hai, two brothers. Both of them were the experts in the initial Yin Void realm. Beyond that, they were well-trained killers before coming to the Tang dynasty. Being attacked jointly by them, this young man is dead. All the surrounding warriors sighed when they heard this. Jian Wushuang stopped walking when he noticed too strong wind coming toward him, but he still looked calm. In the twinkling of an eye, he unsheathed the triple kill sword on his back, showing a cold sword light. Psh! Psh! When the sound of sword penetrating into flesh was heard twice, Jian Wushuang had already pushed his triple kill sword back into the sheath. He kept going forward while Qing Ling and Qing Hai were staying still in the void. But soon, the brothers fell down to the ground. The street fell into silence for a moment. Until Jian Wushuang walked away, it suddenly burst into roaring. Qing Ling and Qing Hai were killed. Anyone spotted how he stabbed the brothers? No, I didn't even see him draw his sword. The warriors were all in amazement. An expert with the cultivation of spiritual power in the Yang Void realm said with a smile, even if it's me facing the attack like that, I could not say I can withstand it. Apparently, we got another big fish in the city. But, Qing Ling and Qing Hai were at high positions in the Hungry Wolf gang. I guess the gang won't let the young man go easily, according to their usual style. After casually killing the two men, Jian Wushuang went ahead, but he could not help thinking, as was said, the Tang dynasty is indeed a place of no rule and no bottom line. In such a place, the strong will kill the weak for the interspatial ring without hesitation as long as they spot one. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Besides, there are so many experts. In other dynasties, it's hard to see experts in the Yin-Yang Void realm, but in the Tang dynasty, they are everywhere. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang was also shocked. Along the way he walked just now, he had seen more than 100 of warriors, and among them, there were more than a dozen of the people in the Yin-Yang Void realm, even including an expert in the Yang Void realm. I'm a newcomer in the Tang dynasty, so I must find a way to orient myself here first. Just as Jian Wushuang was thinking, he suddenly caught the sight of a restaurant in front of him. A restaurant? Jian Wushuang was surprised. He had passed through the street and had found no shop but shabby houses. This was the first restaurant he had seen in the city, which was also the only one there. Bloodmoon Hotel? Jian Wushuang thought for a while after seeing the restaurant's signboard and stepped directly into it. The first thing Jian Wushuang saw in the restaurant was a huge tablet, on which it was written, "Whoever damages anything like chairs, stools, wine pots, and bowls herein will be charged for 100 times the value of the damage, excluding the experts in the Bloodmoon list." The handwriting on the tablet was elegant and stately. But upon seeing the tablet, Jian Wushuang's complexion turned odd. Chapter 275, The Bloodmoon Hotel. Chapter 275, The Bloodmoon Hotel. This is the only hotel in this city. A plaque like this hangs on the lintel of the door. The hotel must be unusual. Jian Wushuang thought while walking into the hotel. An attendant immediately came to greet him. "Patron, are you here for accommodation or a meal?" the attendant asked with a smile. "How many purple crystal spiritual liquid does it cost for one night?" Jian Wushuang said casually. 10 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for one night, the attendant answered smilingly. Really expensive. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but sigh. Experts of the yin-yang void realm used purple crystal spiritual liquid for exchange. Ordinary experts of the initial yin void realm owned about 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. If they stayed here for a night, it would cost 10% of all their possessions. It was expensive indeed. Expensive? The attendant shook his head with a smile. Even one of our stools is worth a drop of purple crystal spiritual liquid. If someone messes up here and breaks our tables and stools, he would pay 100 times of that, that is to say, he will pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for a stool. Tables deserve more. Pay 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for a broken table, not to mention wine pots or wine bowls, so it doesn't cost you much for a night. If someone starts a fierce fight in our hotel, he must pay quite more than that. On hearing this, Jian Wushuang was shocked. One needed to pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid if one broke a stool. Who would dare to fight in this hotel? There's total chaos in the Tang dynasty. Is there anyone that will pay? Jian Wushuang asked casually. You must have just arrived at the Tang dynasty, so you don't know our Tang dynasty. The attendant smiled. Yes, our Tang dynasty is famous for slaughter and doesn't have any bottom line. Actually, it depends on a rule, the law of the jungle. Our Bloodmoon hotel is strong, so those that have a fierce fight in our hotel will have to pay for it. Of course, our hotel is also afraid of some top experts. They can refuse to pay, especially those experts on the Bloodmoon list. What is the Bloodmoon list? Jian Wushuang asked with curiosity. The Bloodmoon list is a strength ranking list based on the information collected by our Bloodmoon hotel. 1,000 experts from 21 large prefectures in the whole Tang dynasty are ranked on this list. The weakest is at the peak of the Yang Void realm, while the strongest is an expert of the Saint realm. They're the real top experts in the Tang dynasty, the attendant answered. 1,000 experts. Jian Wushuang was shocked. I knew the Bloodmoon list was similar to the Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list of the Tianzong dynasty, but the Bloodmoon list was not based on realm, but strength and cultivation. Moreover, there were 1,000 experts on the list. In comparison, the number of people on the Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list was just over 100. Patron, if you're interested in the Bloodmoon list, you can spend some purple crystal spiritual liquid on it. It costs 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid, the attendant said with a smile. Okay, give me a copy of it. Jian Wushuang nodded. He would slaughter in the Tang dynasty, so he needed a good understanding of the 1,000 top experts of the Tang dynasty. For an expert of exceptional Yin Void realm, 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid would be all their possessions, but it meant nothing for Jian Wushuang, since several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm had died in his hands. The attendant gave Jian Wushuang a thick copy of the list. Jian Wushuang started to read it carefully. It only recorded the 1,000 top experts' brief introduction, such as names, cultivation of spiritual power and impressive battle results, but Jian Wushuang spent 2 hours reading it thoroughly. Jian Wushuang could not help but acclaim. There are too many experts. The Tang dynasty lives up to its name as the top empire of the Nanyang continent. Among the 1,000 experts, there were 26 experts of the Saint realm. The experts at the half-saint level accounted for 118 of the total number. Others had reached the peak of the Yang Void realm, and quite a few experts had comprehended the origin. Experts of the Saint realm and the half-saint level definitely belong to the top in the whole Nanyang continent, but in the Tang dynasty, there are a large number of such top experts. Jian Wushuang was shocked indeed. There were only a few experts of the Saint realm and the half-saint realm in the top sects, such as the Wilderness Sword sect and the Daluo Heaven sect. Yet the Tang dynasty had 26 experts of the Saint realm. What did this mean? It was no wonder that Wang Yuan had said the Tang dynasty was much more powerful than the 8 top sects, and even Alchemy School and Holy Emperor Palace held it in awe. In fact, most of the half-saint experts or experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm in Tang dynasty came from the old sects in the Nanyang continent. The Tang dynasty was considered as a place for training. Those who wanted to break through to the Saint realm came here, so the Tang dynasty had a considerable number of experts. It's awesome. The Bloodmoon list is really awesome. Jian Wushuang acclaimed. Since this list is made by the Bloodmoon Hotel and holds absolute authority, the Bloodmoon Hotel must be the top force in the Tang dynasty. The Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list was set by Golden Dragon Palace, the first overlord in the Tianzong dynasty. After all, people were only convinced of the lists made by the real powerful forces. The Bloodmoon Hotel could compile it, which proved its strength. That was why the Bloodmoon Hotel dared to hang such a plaque. Besides the experts of the Saint Realm and the half-saint experts, most of the 1,000 experts are at the peak of the Yang Void Realm and might be stronger than Mo Lingtian and Chen Feng that I had a fight with. I wonder what ranking I will have on the Bloodmoon list. Jian Wushuang thought with expectation. At this moment, the footsteps came over. Then a purple-clothed woman surrounded by a group of figures stepped inside. After walking into the hotel, the purple-clothed woman looked around and immediately fixed her eyes on Jian Wushuang. Chapter 276, You Will Die. Chapter 276, You Will Die. I'm Dong Yu from the Bloodseeker gang, the purple-clothed woman said while staring at Jian Wushuang. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked toward her. Dong Yu had reached the Yang Void Realm and was accompanied by several experts of the Yin Void Realm. I heard that you killed Qing Ling and Qing Hai with one stroke. I know you're powerful, so I came to invite you to join our Bloodseeker gang, Dong Yu said directly. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised his brow and immediately asked, Who is the leader of your Bloodseeker gang? Our leader is Bloodseeker Shao Gang. Everyone around Devil Heart City knows him, Dong Yu replied with a hint of pride. After hearing this name, Jian Wushuang shook his head. He had an excellent memory, so he had already memorized the 1,000 top experts' names after reading through the list. Obviously, there was no one called Shao Gang. Jian Wushuang could not take Shao Gang seriously, because the man had not climbed into the list. Sorry, I'm not interested. Jian Wushuang refused straightforwardly. Dong Yu looked disappointed and said again, You must know that Qing Ling and Qing Hai belonged to the Hungry Wolf Gang. Based on their history, they will come to pick a fight with you. I've seen the experts of the Hungry Wolf Gang outside when I came here. If you go with me, you might have a chance to survive. Or you will die as soon as you step outside. Really? Jian Wushuang smiled. I desperately want to know how I will die. Since you've made up your mind, I don't need to persuade you. See you. Dong Yu immediately left with her people. You should have accepted her invitation, the attendant said. She is right. The Hungry Wolf Gang is quite powerful in Devil Heart City. It is led by 6 leaders and all of them are experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm, so they're extremely aggressive. If you kill their people, they will definitely kill you, so you'd better join the Bloodseeker Gang which can fight against the Hungry Wolf Gang. All of the 6 chiefs are at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. I wonder how many experts they have on the list. Jian Wushuang asked casually. None. The attendant shook his head. On hearing that, Jian Wushuang gave a faint smile without saying a word. He took out a pot of wine from his interspatial ring and drank alone. After an hour, he was about to leave the Bloodmoon Hotel. Good luck, the attendant said. Jian Wushuang smiled. The moment he walked out of the hotel, he immediately perceived that he was targeted by many people. Waiting to kill me. Jian Wushuang thought with a faint smile on his face. The Bloodmoon Hotel enjoyed unusual status in the whole Tang dynasty. When he had stayed in the hotel, experts of the Hungry Wolf gang did not dare to start a fight. If they broke a stool, they would pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid, so they were afraid that a fierce fight would cost too much. Once Jian Wushuang left the hotel, the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang would not have such concerns. Missed the chance to live. Now, let's see how he courts death. Under the eaves of a shabby house, Dong Yu and some experts of the Bloodseeker gang stood there and fixed their eyes on Jian Wushuang. Crack. As the crack of the wine bowl explosion came out, dozens of figures appeared around Jian Wushuang in the blink of an eye. Jian Wushuang was targeted by their killing intent. Dozens of strokes slashed toward Jian Wushuang. When he raised his head, he found himself being blocked by those figures and had no opportunity to escape. In fact, he did not need to escape. The triple kill sword on Jian Wushuang's back was unsheathed, with a blast of roaring sword essence. Then a streak of sword light shone so brightly that the attackers could not help but close their eyes. The streak of sword light easily passed by the attackers. Pang! 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 Those attackers fell one by one and were instantly killed. Shoo! 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 The three blasts of sound pierced the air, as if they converged into one. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes and suddenly stepped back. 3 strokes just passed by him, crashed into the ground, and immediately exploded. Jian Wushuang found that these were 3 hidden arrows. With black liquid on the arrow tips, these arrows were highly toxic. Hee, how clever. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly and disappeared instantly. The next moment, boom. Like a bomb, a figure violently hit the ground in the center of the street. It was a short and thin man, who looked gloomy. The man held a bow. Obviously, the 3 toxic arrows were shot by him. Are these all you can do? Anything else? It was Jian Wushuang's voice. Boom. Behind his back, the void suddenly split and a giant axe of raging fire slashed toward Jian Wushuang. An expert at the peak of the Yang Void realm still needs to attack sneakily. Jian Wushuang had a faint smile and turned around to block it. Pang! A loud boom made the strong man who held the giant axe retreat, while Jian Wushuang was still standing there. What? The strong man was shocked when he saw Jian Wushuang easily block his stroke. He's the 6th leader of the Hungry Wolf gang. Dong Yu and other experts of the Bloodseeker gang were startled. The peak of the Yang Void realm, you must be a chief of the Hungry Wolf gang. Jian Wushuang looked toward the strong men with cold eyes. Your Hungry Wolf gang is really great. But sorry, you pissed off the wrong man. As soon as he finished his words, Jian Wushuang had already disappeared. Where? The strong man kept vigilant for a sudden attack. The moment a cold streak of sword shadow suddenly appeared in front of him, the strong man immediately waved his giant axe to block it with his full strength. However, the streak of sword shadow changed into 3 strokes. When he managed to block only one of them, the other 2 strokes pierced his chest and belly. You dare to kill me? The strong man widened his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. My brother will take revenge for me. Your brother? I'll give him a chance. Jian Wushuang wore a cold smile, which was as cruel as a blade. Chapter 277, The Killing Begins. Chapter 277, The Killing Begins. Jian Wushuang slowly walked down the street, leaving piles of corpses behind him. The warriors who had been watching the fighting along street were horrified, including members of the Bloodseeker gang. They thought that as soon as Jian Wushuang left Bloodmoon Hotel, he would die. But now, the 6th leader of the Hungry Wolf gang, an expert in the peak of the Yang Void realm, was killed. The Hungry Wolf gang. Jian Wushuang slowly moved on while repeating the name in his heart. There are 6 experts in the peak of the Yang Void realm in this gang, but none of them is on the Bloodmoon list. They are not a threat to me. Now that they provoked me, I don't mind wiping them out here and now. Since I just arrived in the Tang dynasty, I'll take the Hungry Wolf gang as my first target. The knight witnessed a horrible scene in a large courtyard in the center of Devil Heart City, which was also the Hungry Wolf gang's lair. Several corpses lay on the ground in the courtyard, and among them was the tall man who had been killed by Jian Wushuang. The young man is in his early 20s and only in the initial Yang Void realm, but he has killed so many experts of our gang and even killed Sixth Brother, a stout man with tan skin and brown hair said, staring down at the corpses. His eyes were grim and cold. He is so young yet so powerful. He must be a talented disciple of those old sects, a real genius. Nevertheless, no matter what background he has, it won't help him in the Tang dynasty. How dare he kill Sixth Bro? Find him right now. Get him and kill him even if you turn the city upside down, shouted the brown-haired man. Yes, sir, the members of the gang responded immediately. Suddenly. No need to find me. An emotionless voice echoed in the yard, and with the sound appeared a figure in black. I'm the one you're looking for. Jian Wushuang gazed at the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang with his cold voice echoing across the whole yard. From today on, there will be no Hungry Wolf gang. How arrogant. Kill him. The brown-haired man roared. The other experts of the Hungry Wolf gang immediately leaped toward Jian Wushuang like real wolves. Jian Wushuang squinted at those experts, the triple-kill sword trembling feverishly in his hand. The killing begins. While Jian Wushuang was fighting with the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang, two figures passed by the top of the void above them. They looked very strong and happened to be passing by Devil Heart City. Just as soon as they arrived, they were immediately attracted by the fighting. They looked down, observing the fighting below. But in their eyes, it was more like a slaughter than a fight. They saw a young man in black, who was bursting with an overwhelming killing intent under the siege of many warriors. With the flashes of the sword sweeping out, the man killed one Hungry Wolf gang expert every time the sword flashed. The two figures slowed down involuntarily. One of them was a demonic youth in a purple robe. When he gazed at the slaughtering below, a bloodthirsty smile appeared on his face. But the other one looked indifferent. How interesting. This young man is just in the initial Yang Void realm, but he killed so many experts under siege. Not only that, there are 5 experts in the peak of Yang Void realm among his opponents, the purple-robed youth said with excitement. Even if it's us that were being attacked by so many experts, we couldn't be as calm as him. He is very powerful, said the emotionless man in a low voice. You're right. The youth nodded with a strong fighting desire in his eyes. I'd love to fight with him. The people in the Tang dynasty were so crazy about killing, and many of them were lunatics keen for battle. This purple-robed youth was one of them. The slaughter in the courtyard was drawing to an end. Jian Wushuang's killing intent filled the air. His black clothes turned red with blood, and around him lay dense corpses. The Hungry Wolf gang possessed many experts, but it was exterminated by Jian Wushuang in a short while. Even the chiefs of the gang and the several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm were also killed by him. Jian Wushuang showed no mercy to these people. He once experienced the test of the illusory realm of slaughter in his ancestors' land. That slaughter was much more frenzied than this one, but he still persevered in his way of killing. As for these people, none of them was innocent as many lives had been lost at their hands during their adventure and killing. Thus, Jian Wushuang felt no guilt about killing them. You two have been watching for so long. It's time to come out, Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head up and said. The two men above the void dived down and showed up in front of Jian Wushuang. They had both reached the peak of the Yang Void realm, and the killing intent of the purple-robed demonic youth was particularly strong. It's very powerful of you to destroy a gang all by yourself, especially one under the charge of several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm, said the purple-robed youth with a smile. Just as so. What do you want from me? Jian Wushuang asked impassively. Ha, it's hard to come across an expert like you who's strong enough to be listed in the Bloodmoon list. I can't let you go before we have a fight, said the purple-robed youth with a grin. Oh. Squinting his eyes, Jian Wushuang was not surprised. There were so many crazy people in the Tang dynasty that it was normal for a warlike man to challenge an expert he met. After finishing his speech, the purple-robed youth rushed toward Jian Wushuang like a purple thunderbolt. Just in a moment, the thunderbolt crossed over 30 meters and came up close to Jian Wushuang, cracking the void in front of him and revealing a stone cudgel surrounded with thunderbolt power. Boom! Boom! The power kept surging and rushing. So fast. Jian Wushuang was shocked, but he retreated quickly the moment the stone cudgel chopped toward him. The cudgel eventually smashed the void. Seeing this, the purple-robed youth smiled grimly, and in an instant, a giant thunder dragon came out of the cudgel and dashed toward Jian Wushuang roaring. Oh! Jian Wushuang's heart pounded. He was quite amazed at the purple-robed youth's strength. Though he hasn't comprehended the origin, he is very excellent in comprehending the thunderbolt essence. What's more, his cultivation method and skills not only are quite superb, but also performed with thunderbolt power. Thus, he is absolutely as strong as the experts who had comprehended the origin and were in the peak of the Yang Void realm. Jian Wushuang looked grim. He drew back hastily, but the dragon kept chasing him. Chapter 278, An Invitation. Chapter 278, An Invitation. With a leap, Jian Wushuang landed on the roof, and the thunder dragon quickly followed him. Crack! The dragon swept over the roof, and under its powerful attack, the roof was smashed into pieces. After rapidly flying around the rooftop, Jian Wushuang returned to the purple-robed youth. With a terrifying killing intent, Jian Wushuang slashed at the youth with his sword, his great power behind it. The purple-robed youth remained calm and brandished the stone cudgel once more. With a rumbling boom, the thunderbolt's power exploded fiercely, and yet, the cudgel was knocked away by Jian Wushuang's sword. As soon as Jian Wushuang beat back the youth, he found that the emotionless man was upon him before he could attack the youth further. All at once, a shaft of black light appeared which quickly transformed into a thread, both chilling and terrifying. Seeing the black light, Jian Wushuang could not help but frown. He instantly stamped the ground with his feet. Where he stamped, the ground would crackle. He suddenly retreated back, and at the same time, raised the triple-kill sword. With this move, a towering giant appeared behind him out of thin air, wielding a sword of its own, which proceeded to attack the two. The strike was so powerful that the youth and the emotionless man were both shocked and were forced to defend themselves at the same time. Bang! The powerful roar echoed between heaven and earth, the whole of Devil Heart City trembled at that very moment. Whoosh! 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 3 flowing lights fell back all at once and stood firm in the void. Their positions set in 3 different directions. Sword in one hand, Jian Wushuang stared the other 2 down impassively. His eyes, however, glittered with excitement. The purple-robed youth was burning with the pure desire for battle. But after a moment, he was able to control that desire, suppressing it. That's enough. Stop the fighting, the emotionless man said, and then looked at Jian Wushuang. Gentlemen, we meant no harm. My brother was simply born too warlike for his own good, unable to suppress his desire for battle. But it certainly doesn't go as far as to the death. The purple-robed youth gave Jian Wushuang a grin. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes then nodded himself. He had noticed that as well. These 2 men fought against him with plenty of restraint. It had become obvious through their blows that neither had intended to fight seriously. Since that's the case, both of you are free to leave, Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice. However, the 2 didn't move. You are a truly mighty expert. In a one-on-one fight, my brother and I alone are no match for you, said the emotionless man. With such strength, your name must be mentioned quite often in the Tang dynasty. Yet I'm confused about which one on the Bloodmoon list should be you. Bloodmoon list? Jian Wushuang shook his head. I arrived in the Tang dynasty today, so I am not on the list. Oh. Their eyes lit up. Then, your name? Asked the emotionless man. Swordsman, replied Jian Wushuang. Swordsman. The emotionless man nodded and said, I am Bei Mu, and my brother is called Leng Yang. Both of us come from the Heartless Sect. Bei Mu and Leng Yang. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had seen those names on the Bloodmoon list before. Leng Yang had been ranked 864th on the list. Bei Mu had been ranked 713th on the list. The two had both been outstanding experts with rather high rankings on the list. No wonder they are so strong. They turned out to be the experts on the Bloodmoon list. Jian Wushuang thought with approving admiration. There were so many experts within this dynasty that an ordinary expert in the peak of the Yang Void Realm was not worth mentioning. After all, he had killed 6 of them just in one day. But it was another story for the experts in the same realm on the Bloodmoon list. They were much stronger than the former. Just like the warriors of the Gold Core realm on the Earthly Dragon list of the Tianzong dynasty, the warriors on the Bloodmoon list could best all the others who had achieved the same tier. The same was true of the experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm on the Bloodmoon list. Swordsman, you seem to be a bit stronger than even us. To stay in such a small city is nothing short of wasting your many talents, said Bei Mu, looking at Jian Wushuang. As I see it, you might as well follow us to the Heartless Sect, he continued, since our sect is one of the 4 great powers in the Skywave Prefecture. Besides, there's a raging battle with another force ongoing, you can display your talent to its fullest if you were to go there. The Heartless Sect. Upon hearing the name, Jian Wushuang immediately recalled a person, the master of Heartless Sect, a half-saint expert who was ranked 118th on the Bloodmoon list. So, what do you think? Both Bei Mu and Leng Yang both appeared confident, likely expecting a positive reply. Since their sect had recently been fighting a fierce battle with another great force, they certainly had an urgent need for more experts. Since that was the case, any experts that qualified to be on the Bloodmoon list, such as Jian Wushuang, would undoubtedly be well received. Jian Wushuang pondered for a moment before finally nodding. Very well, I shall follow you. Hearing this, Bei Mu and Leng Yang glanced at one another with satisfied grins before turning back to Jian Wushuang with happy smiles on their faces. How soon can you depart? Asked Bei Mu. Please wait for a moment, I'll be ready to leave soon, Jian Wushuang answered. Okay. Bei Mu and Leng Yang waited where they were while Jian Wushuang left for the void nearby. In a modest room in the Devil Heart City, a black-robed youth leaned on a corner drinking. Suddenly, with a long sword upon his back, Jian Wushuang appeared in front of the youth. The black-robed youth raised his head, revealing a face as same as Jian Wushuang's. Through sheer force of will, Jian Wushuang and the youth soon merged into a single body. No one knew that the man who had slaughtered the Hungry Wolf gang, and later fought both Bei Mu and Leng Yang to a standstill had just been a slaughter doppelganger of Jian Wushuang. As for himself, he had been in that room since the very beginning. Jian Wushuang slowly swayed the wine pot. Bei Mu is right. Destroying the strongest gang in the Devil Heart City, the Hungry Wolf gang, was so easy for me. I can't put my talent to use here at all. But the Heartless Sect, it's one of the 4 great powers in the Skywave Prefecture. There is an average of 50 experts on the Bloodmoon list for every one of the 21 prefectures in the Tang dynasty. In Skywave Prefecture alone, I could guess there were at most 50 experts that come from the 4 powers. Only there can see more experts. Considering the intricacy of the powers of the Tang dynasty, most experts and warriors would choose to join forces with them in particular. That was exactly what Jian Wushuang planned to do as well. As for the Bloodseeker gang, a gang without even one expert on the Bloodmoon list and had also invited him to join during the day, they no longer suited his tastes. The Heartless Sect was far more qualified to present him an invitation, which was exactly why he accepted their invitation. Having made up his mind, Jian Wushuang came back to the Hungry Wolf Gang's nest and saw Bei Mu and Lin Yang still waiting there. "Hey, let's go." Jian Wushuang smiled. Upon seeing Jian Wushuang, Bei Mu and Lin Yang both felt that his aura seemed to have changed somewhat, but they didn't pay much attention. With Jian Wushuang now in tow, the three headed to the Heartless Sect. Chapter 279, The Heartless Sect. Chapter 279, The Heartless Sect. The Heartless Sect headquartered in the Heartless City within the Skywave Prefecture. Brother Swordsman, we will arrive in the Heartless City quite soon. When we meet with our master, I shall recommend you to him as a protector of our sect. Your strength is more than enough to qualify you to be a protector, said Lin Yang on the way to the Heartless City. Jian Wushuang softly smiled at him. He had heard a bit about the Heartless Sect from the two along the way. He quite aware that the most prominent figure in the sect was, of course, the master of Heartless Sect, a half-sane expert. Below him came the protectors. There were 8 protectors in total, each of them being the top expert on the Bloodmoon list. As a matter of fact, both Bei Mu and Lin Yang were protectors. "Here we are," said Bei Mu. Jian Wushuang had also seen the huge city on the horizon. As the headquarters of the Heartless Sect, Heartless City was much larger than Devil Heart City. Not even mentioning how heavily guarded it was. Protector Bei Mu, Protector Lin Yang. The warriors of the Heartless Sect passing by all respectfully greeted Bei Mu and Lin Yang when the two led Jian Wushuang into the city. Soon, they came into a manners meeting hall. Inside, the master of the Heartless Sect, a lean purple-haired old man, was discussing something important with several other protectors when Jian Wushuang followed Bei Mu and Lin Yang into the hall. "Your Excellency, we are back," called Lin Yang. His disposition had always been more straightforward. Lin Yang, Bei Mu. Seeing their appearance, the master gave a pleasant smile and stopped the discussion temporarily. "Your Excellency, please allow me to introduce you to my new brother, Swordsman." "We met along the way," said Lin Yang. Both the master and the protectors looked toward Jian Wushuang with curiosity. So young. That was their first impression of Jian Wushuang. "Your Excellency, he may be young, he is already very powerful. Bei Mu and I have decided to recommend him to Your Excellency as the 9th protector of our sect," Lin Yang said. "Yeah, we did." Bei Mu gave a slight nod. "Oh." Both the master of the Heartless Sect and the protectors were amazed at the recommendation. Only the experts on the Bloodmoon list or those comparable to them could hold the post of protector. They never heard the name Swordsman before, so the name obviously had never been on the Bloodmoon list. "Young man, you appear to barely be in your early 20s. Could it be that you have reached the peak of the Yang Void Realm at such a ripe age?" The master turned to Jian Wushuang and asked. "The peak of the Yang Void Realm?" "No, Your Excellency." Shaking his head, Jian Wushuang continued, "I'm only now in the initial Yang Void Realm." "Well." The master raised his eyebrows. The protectors beside the master began to sneer at Jian Wushuang directly. One grim-looking mustached protector in snow-white marten coat said, "Is this some kind of joke, Lin Yang, Bei Mu? Recommending a young man, who has only reached the initial Yang Void Realm, as the protector of our sect? We'll be mocked by every faction in the Skywave Prefecture if your recommendation ever leakages from here. Brother Swordsman's realm is indeed not high, but he still has a mighty power. Bei Mu and I couldn't defeat him in a short bout, not when we cooperated. With such strength, wouldn't he be able to be listed on the Bloodmoon list?" Lin Yang shot a glance at the grim-looking man. From his expression, others could easily sense his disgust and dissatisfaction. "Humph. You tell me, did you use all of your might to fight against him when you cooperated with Bei Mu?" the grim-looking man asked harshly. "Did you display your Thousand Thunder Realm? Did Bei Mu display his triple black light?" "No," Lin Yang replied, shaking his head. It was true that they left some leeway when they fought with Jian Wushuang, and so did Jian Wushuang. Bei Mu and he did not use their special skills, but he believed that Jian Wushuang also held back his real strength. Well, that's the point. How can you conclude that this young man is on a par with you as you didn't even perform your best skills when fighting with him? Asked the grim-looking man with a vicious sneer. But, Lin Yang tried to say something more. That's enough. The master began to speak, which shut both Lin Yang and the grim-looking man up. Lin Yang, Bei Mu, the master continued, since you two highly recommended this young man, I believe, he must be talented. I won't have his talent wasted. Wuzhou's Bloody Blade team just so happens to be short-handed, so I suggest that he join the Bloody Blade team first. Your Excellency. Lin Yang frowned. In his eyes, Jian Wushuang was strong enough to be a protector. You've said enough. The master stopped Lin Yang, and then he looked at Jian Wushuang and asked, What do you say, young man? I accept. Jian Wushuang nodded without hesitation. In fact, he didn't care about the post of protector at all. What really mattered to him was to steel himself by fighting experts. As long as he could get the chance to challenge experts, it wouldn't matter if he was a protector or not. Good. Wuzhou, I shall leave this young man in your care. Nurture him well, said the master. No problem, Your Excellency. The grim-looking man stood up and walked over to Jian Wushuang. In a low voice, he said, Boy, follow me. Brother Swordsman, you can rest assured. With your strength, you can achieve great things wherever you are, said Lin Yang. Hearing this, a smile formed on Jian Wushuang's lips. He nodded at Lin Yang and then departed with Wuzhou. In the void above the Heartless city, Jian Wushuang walked slowly behind Wuzhou. Boy, let's make this clear, Wuzhou said coldly, I don't care what relationship you have with Lin Yang and Bei Mu. Now that you are on my team, you must obey my orders without question, even if it is the one that tells you to die. If you show any hesitation in following my orders, I will kill you with my own hands on the spot. With an eyebrow cocked, Jian Wushuang smiled slightly but did not respond. It didn't take long for Wuzhou to arrive at a huge courtyard with Jian Wushuang in tow. Tai Shan. Wuzhou yelled with a voice that echoed throughout the courtyard. Almost immediately, a group of people came out from the courtyard led by a man taller than 2 meters. Standing there, the tall man could have been mistaken for a hill. Protector Wuzhou. Tai Shan and the others saluted reverently. Given that you, the 9th team, lost one man recently, I have acquired you a replacement. The man beside me is called Swordsman, a newcomer in our sect. Remember to teach him the rules I set. Wuzhou said and shot a glance at Jian Wushuang before leaving. Chapter 280, Bloody Blade Team. Chapter 280, Bloody Blade Team. After Wuzhou left, the tall man said brightly, Swordsman, I'm Tai Shan. From now on, we are allies, fighting by one another's side. I'm Gu Chui. I'm Mo Ying. I'm Tao. The other members of Bloody Blade team began to introduce themselves. Let's go. Tai Shan spoke. Then they returned to the courtyard, and sat around the stone table. The 9th squad was comprised of 10 people and all of them were here. Swordsman, you've just joined Heartless Sect. You probably know little about our sect or our Bloody Blade team, right? Tai Shan asked. Right. Jian Wushuang shook his head and replied. Let me tell you something about the internal situation of the Tang dynasty. It's full of slaughter. For their own sake, a great number of powerful factions continue to fight one another for their own interests. It is certainly far crazier than the outside world. Fighting for benefits existed everywhere, but it certainly was crazier in the Tang dynasty than most other places. There were many varied forces in the Tang dynasty. Weaker groups would hand over a certain amount of purple crystal spiritual liquid to the stronger factions. It was called monthly supply, and as one might expect, the stronger forces received more monthly supply. Moreover, there was an abundance of natural resources in the Tang dynasty, such as load and numerous natural treasures. These, of course, were possessed by the large forces and factions. In order to gain benefits, every organization had little alternative to fighting for control. Tai Shan added, "Our Heartless sect is one of the 4 factions in Skywave Prefecture. It's also one of the most powerful forces in the Tang dynasty. Our master is a mighty expert who has reached the half-saint level and ranks 118th on the Bloodmoon list. Furthermore, there are the 8 protectors who are also top experts on the Bloodmoon list. We also have experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm." "Do we have many experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Yes, of course." Tai Shan nodded heavily. "Many experts are glad to join our sect, one of the 4 factions in Skywave Prefecture, so we have many experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Although I'm not quite clear about the number of them, I think we have at least 200 experts at such level." "What?" Jian Wushuang suppressed his shock. There were more than 200 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm? Even the old sects, the Wilderness Sword Sect and the Daluo Heaven Sect, would never have so many experts at the level. However, a large force in the Tang dynasty could own 200 experts. What could that mean? However, after some careful consideration, Jian Wushuang felt at ease. The Tang dynasty was known as the Slaughterous dynasty and was also one of the best places to practice for many people, so it was not strange for a large number of top experts to come to the Tang dynasty. It could even be said that in the entire Nanyang continent, at least 30% of experts at the half-saint level or at the peak of the Yang Void Realm gathered in the Tang dynasty, so the Tang dynasty had many experts at such levels. Though the experts could roam around the Tang dynasty, they did not belong to the Tang dynasty, so the amount of force the Tang dynasty could control was only a fragment of a much greater whole. But even with just a small part of the force, it was still far more than enough to make places like the Alchemy School and the Holy Emperor Palace experience a great sense of awe. 200 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. I just made a conservative estimate. Tai Shan smiled. Our Bloody Blade team is the most elite force for the Heartless sect and comprised of 100 people. The minimum requirement of joining our team is battle strength at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. A hint of shock flashed past Jian Wushuang's eyes. Everyone in the Bloody Blade team had reached peak of the Yang Void Realm. The team consisted of 100 experts. If this were in the Nanyang continent, 3 valleys and 4 temples might not be able to build such a team. However, a single sect within the Tang dynasty could easily make such a force. The Bloody Blade team has 10 squads. Each squad has 10 experts. Now you're in the 9th squad and I'm the leader. They're your teammates, Tai Shan said with a smile. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and asked, Protector Wu Jiu just said he set some rules. What rules? Rules? Tai Shan sneered. Well, Wu Jiu controls our Bloody Blade team, so all of us must follow his orders. The rules he set up are quite simple, that is, don't question what he said and don't hesitate to obey his orders. Otherwise, your life would, and will, become miserable. Oh. Jian Wushuang looked toward him. I've been in the Bloody Blade team for more than 1 year. I've seen a leader was killed by Wu Jiu because he hesitated for a while after receiving an order, Tai Shan added. I heard that Wu Jiu has ordered Bloody Blade team to kill enemies. A powerful protector was opposed to Wu Jiu, but ended up slain. After that, many people speculated it was Wu Jiu who led 2 squads and killed the protector in secret. But they haven't gotten any evidence, so this case has remained unsettled. Jian Wushuang was somewhat shocked. Wu Jiu really is quite overbearing. Those are the rules he set. Truth is, he has such power because he's strong. If you're stronger than him, you can do whatever you want, and even disobeying his orders is entirely possible, Tai Shan said. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. That was the truth. There were no rules for powerful experts in other places, let alone for somewhere such as the Tang dynasty. Well, Swordsman, you're so young, but you are still able to join our team. You must be strong, right? Tai Shan suddenly asked. The other 8 teammates looked toward him with great interest. Jian Wushuang could not help but laugh. He had already understood what they meant. After a while, Jian Wushuang started sparring with his teammates. Chapter 281, Bloody Blade Team, set off. Chapter 281, Bloody Blade Team, set off. After 3 days, Jian Wushuang sat on the ground, with his legs crossed, in the center of the yard where the 9th squad lived. He was surrounded by heavy fog, which was transformed by sword essence. A realm of sword essence covered an area of around a dozen meters. A large amount of gray fog began to gather together. It became denser and denser, almost condensing into the water. In the end, the gray fog gradually dissipated. I'm still a step away from it. Jian Wushuang shook his head. As for 3 movement of the sword realm, the first move, sword fog, was easily comprehended. He had mastered it after practicing for 3 days. However, it was quite difficult for him to master Sword Tide and Sword Sea, the second move and the third move respectively. Few people had mastered the second move in the Daluo Heaven Sect. Although Jian Wushuang had a peerless gift in his sword principle, he could not master the second move in such a short time. After all, he had just gained this sword skill. Jian Wushuang stood up and walked toward the stone table. 2 members of his squad were drinking by the table. Watching Jian Wushuang come over, one of them smiled and called out. Swordsman, you've practiced for half a day and haven't taken a break. Are you practicing too hard? What do you know? If he had not practiced so hard, how would he have ever gained such strength at his age? The other member replied. They both treated Jian Wushuang with great enthusiasm and warm respect. 3 days ago, when he just arrived here, Jian Wushuang fought with his teammates in a series of light bouts. They had not taken the fight seriously at first when they discovered Jian Wushuang had just reached the initial Yang Void realm. However, when the fight began, they were shocked by the sheer battle potential Jian Wushuang could bring. Except for Tai Shan, who barely managed to force a draw with Jian Wushuang, the other 8 teammates were defeated one after another. They hadn't known, however, that Jian Wushuang did not use his full strength even then. Come on, have a drink. Then Jian Wushuang sat by the table and started to drink with them. After a while, a tall and strong figure appeared by their side. It was Tai Shan. Come on out. Tai Shan spoke loudly enough to be heard throughout the entire courtyard. The team members began walking out of their rooms and came to the stone table. Boss, what happened? Mo Ying asked. Jian Wushuang looked toward Tai Shan. I've just received news that another protector was killed last night, Tai Shan replied seriously. What? Such news shocked everyone, though they didn't allow it to show. It was unexpected that a protector of the Heartless Sect, who was a top expert on the Bloodmoon list, was killed. Which protector died? Jian Wushuang asked. Protector Su Lang, Tai Shan answered. Su Lang ranked well over the 900th position, and was considered the weakest of the 8 protectors. Protector Su Lang could have carried out his task. No one knows how the Demon's Island found his location. He was killed by the 3 devils of Demon's Island, Tai Shan added. Jian Wushuang was a little bit surprised. Both the Heartless Sect and Demon's Island belonged to the 4 factions of Skywave Prefecture. Bei Mu and Ling Yang had said that Heartless Sect had many fierce fights with Demon's Island. Demon's Island was not weaker than Heartless Sect. Their island master was also an expert at the half-saint level, and the 7 devils were experts on the Bloodmoon list. It was little wonder how Su Lang had not been able to escape when pressed by 3 devils at once. Protector Su Lang was killed. After receiving the news, our master and the other protector were furious, and must be planning to take revenge on Demon's Island. They'll probably need us, so we should prepare for it. Tai Shan explained. On hearing this, the experts of the team were not nervous, but instead, rather excited. Finally, it's our turn. The last time we got out was a half a month ago already. Ha, let the battle be vicious and bloody. The experts talked and laughed. Jian Wushuang wore a slight smile, with a flicker of expectation in his eyes. Sure enough, the call came just half a day later. Bloody Blade Team, assemble. A loud voice rang out above Heartless City, causing a turmoil throughout the city. The experts of Bloody Blade Team, who had been prepared, leaped up that very same moment. The 10 squads had assembled in the blink of an eye. The middle-aged Wu Jiao stood in front of the experts, with 2 other protectors by his side. One of the protectors was Bei Mu. Wu Jiao glanced at experts with cold eyes. Then he waved his hand. Move out. Wu Jiao and the 2 protectors led the Bloody Blade Team out of Heartless City. There are 3 protectors and 100 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Just what are we going to do? Are we launching a frontal attack against Demon's Island? Jian Wushuang mumbled. I doubt it's just a frontal assault. Tai Shan shook his head. Our Bloody Blade Team is the trump card of Heartless Sect. If we weren't aiming for a decisive battle, we would have never set out. Whatever he does, I will follow the 3 protectors' orders, Mo Ying beside Jian Wushuang said. Although they still were unclear as to what their mission was, they were still excited. After half a day, they arrived before a city. That is Golden Wing City. Tai Shan frowned and asked, isn't Golden Wing City the territory of the Wing Gang? What are we doing here? Wing Gang. The other squads also felt surprised. Wing Gang was also a powerful force in Skywave Prefecture. It had 2 masters who had managed to enter their names upon the Bloodmoon list. One of their masters, Shen Tianyu, ranked higher than the other. Except for the 2 masters, their force's strength was rather ordinary. The Wing Gang was much weaker than Heartless Sect or Demon's Island. Listen. Wu Jiao suspended in front of the experts and said in a cold voice, yesterday, Protector Su Lang was killed by experts from Demon's Island. According to our reliable information, it's the Wing Gang which told the Protector's location to Demon's Island, so our duty today is to wipe out the Wing Gang and butcher their 2 masters. Chapter 282, Blocking Him. Chapter 282, Blocking Him. Understood. The experts of Bloody Blade Team were finally clear about their task. The Wing Gang was their target. It was no wonder that they came to Golden Wing City. Listen, Wu Jiao said in a low voice, the 1st and 6th squads follow me into the lair of Wing Gang, the other 4 squads go and hold the 4 gates of the city. The 7th squad go to the east gate. The 8th squad go the west gate. The 9th squad go to the south gate. The 10th squad go to the north gate. Anyone that dares to escape, slaughter without forgiveness. Go. After Wu Jiao gave the order, he and the other 2 protectors immediately led the 6 squads into Golden Wing City. The remaining squads stood there and looked at each other with resignation. After a while, the deafening roars came out from every corner of the city, indicating that the war had broken out. Near the south gate of Golden Wing City, the 9th squad quietly suspended themselves above the void and watched the fierce fight inside the city with gruesome looks. Bastards, they can slaughter in the city while we hold here. Mo Ying curled his lips. Well, that's the Wu Jiao's order, we can't disobey it. Tai Shan spoke with a wry look. They thought they could have a fierce fight and enjoy slaying their foes, but never expected things to turn out like this. The other 6 squads ran amok, slaughtering crazily in the city, while they had to wait outside. Just wait and see. This war has only just begun. Wing Gang is barely hanging on, but they won't fight for long. The experts of Wing Gang will break and flee in a crazy panic soon enough. Then we'll carry out our duties, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Though it'll be like that, we still won't be able to enjoy the slaughter within the city, Mo Ying murmured. Say no more and wait patiently. Even if we can't join this fight, we'll wait for the next time, Tai Shan said, so the other experts no longer complained about it. After an hour, a voice loudly echoed, "Run." The voice rang out across the city. Then numerous experts of Wing Gang started to run away in a shattered retreat. Go to the north gate. Hurry. As the shout came out, a large number of experts ran toward the north gate, like bees. Looking at this, the experts of the 9th Squad knew that their last hope was shattered. The experts of Wing Gang are running toward the north gate, opposite to us. It looks like that we won't have a chance to fight. Mo Ying curled his lips again. The others also felt disappointed. They were eager for a fierce fight, but they didn't get the chance. However, at the moment. Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head, so did the other experts. They saw a figure leap out above the void and dashed in their direction. Ha, we still have an opportunity. There's one left for us. Mo Ying grinned. Obviously, the man was escaping from Golden Wing City. He must belong to the Wing Gang. This man, Tai Shan raised his brow and looked toward the man. The next moment, he was shocked. It is Shen Tianyu, the chief of Wing Gang. What? The other experts were startled and looked toward the man with expressions of shock and worry. As the figure got closer, they could clearly see his appearance. The man, with a head of short hair and bushy whiskers, held a cyan saber with a roaring breath. He looked the same as Shen Tianyu indeed. That's him, without a doubt. Tai Shan's face fell. How sly he is. He asks all the experts to escape from the north gate while he himself is quietly running to the south gate. I'm afraid our protectors haven't uncovered the ruse yet. Boss, what shall we do? A teammate asked. What else can we do? Block him. Tai Shan shouted in a low voice. The 9th Squad immediately darted to Shen Tianyu. Shen Tianyu was running like a drowned rat. His eyes were cold and vicious, but his appearance was in a shambles. I thought our Wing Gang did well in this covert operation, and didn't expect that the Heartless Sect would discover it. Alas! If I had known this outcome, I would have never disclosed Su Lang's position to Demon's Island. If I hadn't, our Wing Gang would not have been annihilated this day. Shen Tianyu felt regretful, but now, it was useless. He only hoped that he could survive in this attack. At that moment, he saw 10 figures rushing to him. Shen Tianyu's face changed. The Heartless Sect is really prudent. I didn't expect that they arranged their people outside. But a small squad cannot block me. Shen Tianyu snorted. Then his tremendous killing intent emitted out. Stop him. Tai Shan shouted, a huge copper hammer appearing in his hand. The hammer looked heavy, weighing around 5,000 kilograms, but it could be easily waved by Tai Shan. Surrounded by circles of fire waves, the hammer directly lashed against Shen Tianyu with a fiery bombardment. The other teammates launched their attacks, using all their strength. They had not planned to be able to directly kill Shen Tianyu with their efforts, as they knew that Shen Tianyu was a top expert on the Bloodmoon list and could slaughter a large number of experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Therefore, their squad only expected that they could block Shen Tianyu and pray for the 3 protectors' arrival. Faced with their attacks, Shen Tianyu just sneered and waved his cyan saber. Get out of my way. A huge knife shadow, covering half of the sky, dashed out, as if it had split the heaven and earth in two. The scary power shattered their attacks and even sent them flying in an instant. This was all accomplished with but a single stroke. A group of trash wanted to block me? Shen Tianyu glared with disdain and continued to move forward. Suddenly, a black figure blocked his way. It was Jian Wushuang. The other 9 teammates had struck a blow to block Shen Tianyu, but only Jian Wushuang had not shown a move. Ah, another fly. Shen Tianyu did not bother glancing at Jian Wushuang, and instead immediately launched an attack. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly became cold. Chapter 283, Leave this man to me. Chapter 283, Leave this man to me. Shen Tianyu ranks 489th on the Bloodmoon list and has comprehended Gale Source. He had a fierce fight with a half-saint expert for a long time, even though he lost. This man was qualified for me to use my full strength. Jian Wushuang recalled the information about Shen Tianyu, as a powerful battle intent emanated from his body. Buzzing, a cold streak of blade light split the void and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang curled his lips and evoked his spiritual power. When his arm was full of power, he waved slightly. Then his triple-kill sword, carrying great momentum, lashed out. Shen Tianyu had not put him in his eyes. He had beaten away the Tai Shan and the other 8 with one stroke. Even an ordinary expert at the peak of the Yang Void Realm could not block his casual strike. However, the moment his opponent's stroke collided with his saber, Shen Tianyu suddenly raised his head in surprise, because he felt a strong power come over. Thump! Shen Tianyu was forced to retreat nearly 100 meters away before he could stabilize his body above the void. Master, a real expert. Shen Tianyu looked toward Jian Wushuang seriously. With just one stroke, he had perceived that Jian Wushuang was at least stronger than Tai Shan and the other 8. Who are you? Shen Tianyu asked in a low voice. Swordsman, Jian Wushuang replied. I've never heard of you. Shen Tianyu shook his head. Now you know. Jian Wushuang sneered. That sounds arrogant. You dare to block me, then you'll die. Shen Tianyu's eyes became cold and his body floated up in the blink of an eye, with a gust of wind from the void. Leave this man to me. Jian Wushuang spoke to the surprised Tai Shan and Mo Ying. Then with a stride, the triple-kill sword's power roared and slashed forward. There was nothing in the void. However, a ghost-like figure appeared in this void after Jian Wushuang struck the blow. It turned out to be Shen Tianyu. His saber light crashed with Jian Wushuang's, causing a loud sound. As the scary power spread out. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two figures unexpectedly disappeared. Where are they? The other 9 teammates widened their eyes and stared in shock. Shen Tianyu had frightened them, while Jian Wushuang shocked even more. They had failed to block Shen Tianyu, but Jian Wushuang could block him by himself. Jian Wushuang suddenly appeared above the void. A streak of white light appeared. It was so dazzling that Jian Wushuang could not open his eyes. At this moment, the streak of light unexpectedly swept through Jian Wushuang's head. Huh! Tai Shan and the other 8 teammates could not help exclaiming. Is Jian Wushuang going to die? In fact, they did not see a drop of blood, but Jian Wushuang's body was slowly disappearing. It was just a shadow. A cold streak of sword shadow suddenly appeared behind Shen Tianyu. Shen Tianyu perceived it and turned his hand over to block it. With a loud bang, the two of them disappeared again. How fast! Tai Shan and the other 8 teammates were stunned by what happened. Choo! A deep ravine suddenly appeared on the ground. Obviously, it was caused by the long sword. Then with a loud boom, another deep hole appeared. Though they were experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm and were looking carefully, they could not see the two figures. Boom! The void split in half. Shen Tianyu was suspended above the void and looking at Jian Wushuang seriously. He no longer looked down on Jian Wushuang. He's just reached the initial Yang Void Realm. It's out of my expectation that he could catch up with me. Shen Tianyu thought in astonishment, because he himself had comprehended Gale Source. If one studied Gale Essence to the limit, one could comprehend Gale Source. Gale Source could improve speed. If he used his full strength into his speed, the ordinary half-saint experts might not catch up with him. However, Jian Wushuang, who was just at the initial Yang Void Realm, was not slower than him. Shen Tianyu did not know that Jian Wushuang had comprehended world origin, which was a perfect combination of 4 kinds of essence. It meant that he was adept at each aspect, including speed. More importantly, Jian Wushuang had reached momentum, much higher than Shen Tianyu's. Don't waste time with him, or I'll be in big trouble if the 3 protectors arrive. Shen Tianyu thought. Then he transformed into a gust of wind and dashed out. Boy, let's fight to the death. Shen Tianyu shouted. That's what I wanted. Jian Wushuang sneered and started to launch an attack. Sword fog. A roaring sword essence formed the heavy fog, creating a small realm of sword essence. Shen Tianyu was oppressed by the heavy fog, which affected his speed. What? Shen Tianyu's face changed, but he still maintained his momentum. 1,000 cuts. Go to hell. Shen Tianyu shouted in a low voice. A large amount of spiritual power gathered in his cyan saber and made the saber double in size. With the soaring power, the saber violently lashed out. In the blink of an eye, the heaven and earth split in 2. Selfless sword technique, 6th move. Jian Wushuang's battle strength reached the peak. The power of his triple kill sword burst out at this moment. A brilliant stroke moved forward. The 2 horrifying forces made the onlookers hold their breath. Instantly, 2 massive and horrible forces fiercely collided in the void. Boom! It shook the earth and mountain, with a severe gale blowing. The next moment, a figure was repelled, who spat out a mouthful of blood. It was Shen Tianyu. Chapter 284, Fool. Chapter 284, Fool. He defeated me. Shen Tianyu could not believe it. He had tried his best, but lost the fight. As he was retreating, Jian Wushuang had already launched an attack on him. Covered by the heavy fog, Shen Tianyu was not able to move freely, so he looked slow and lifeless. I didn't expect that I would be killed by a nobody. Shen Tianyu stared at Jian Wushuang and said angrily. Nobody. Jian Wushuang said with a sneer, after I kill you, I won't be a nobody. The triple kill sword lashed out and immediately pierced Shen Tianyu's body, leave a big hole in his chest. Shen Tianyu's body fell to the ground. Jian Wushuang stood next to him and looked down. A top expert, who ranked within 500 on the Bloodmoon list, is powerful indeed. If he had not been afraid that protectors would come and chosen to perform a frontal attack against me, I would not have killed him so easily. Jian Wushuang thought. He was quite clear that he could kill Shen Tianyu because Shen Tianyu was distracted. He had comprehended origin of the world and slaughter source, which would help him in a frontal attack, but Shen Tianyu was adept at speed, so frontal attacks were his weak point. Whoosh! 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 Tai Shan and the other 8 teammates appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Shen Tianyu is dead. Tai Shan and Mo Ying looked at the corpse in surprise. Swordsman, you, said Tai Shan, staring at Jian Wushuang in shock. Now they knew Jian Wushuang just fought them for fun at that time. Shen Tianyu ranked high on the Bloodmoon list. Only one of our protectors ranks higher than him. Moreover, he had fought with a half-saint expert for a long time. Though he failed, he survived. However, now, he was killed by you. This strength, Mo Ying smacked his lips and sigh. Jian Wushuang could not help but laugh. He had a fight with a half-saint expert from the Wilderness Sword Sect at the gathering of the sects of the northern region. The half-saint expert was strong indeed. He had tried his best to fight, but the top expert just blocked his attack casually. Lastly, he drew with his opponent. Shen Tianyu, who could have a fierce fight with a half-saint expert, was really powerful. Whoosh! A figure rushed over and quickly appeared in front of them. Jian Wushuang and his 9 teammates immediately locked their eyes on it. Protector Wujiu. Tai Shan immediately spoke. Wujiu coldly looked at the corpse on the ground. This is Shen Tianyu. Wu Jiu narrowed his eyes and said. Wu Jiu ranked lower than Shen Tianyu on the Bloodmoon list. He and Bei Mu could only suppress Shen Tianyu, but they were not able to kill him. But now, Shen Tianyu was dead. You killed Shen Tianyu? Wu Jiu cast a glance at them. The moment Tai Shan opened his mouth and wanted to say that Jian Wushuang killed by himself, Jian Wushuang scrambled to reply. Shen Tianyu was so confident that he did not detect that we ambushed him. We took the chance and worked together to kill him. It took us all of our strength. Oh. Wu Jiu looked around and saw quite a few holes, which indicated a fierce fight, so he nodded. Shen Tianyu could not block the attack from one of our squads. He wasn't as strong as I expected. Wu Jiu sneered, and then waved his hand to take the corpse and the interspatial ring away. You did well. Just go back to Heartless City by yourselves. After finishing his words, Wu Jiu left. Tai Shan and Xue Ying's face darkened. Why? Swordsman killed Shen Tianyu with great effort. Wu Jiu just said a few words to us and then took Shen Tianyu and his interspatial ring away. The others all felt it was unfair. Wu Jiu had nothing to do with Shen Tianyu's death, but he could take all the trophies away. Shen Tianyu was not only the top expert on the Bloodmoon list, but also the chief of Wing Gang. As he had managed the gang for a long time, his interspatial ring must be precious. Swordsman, you just let him go. Xue Ying looked toward Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang just gave a slight smile and said, just some purple crystal spiritual liquid. Even if we get them, we'll have to hand them in. How much shall we have? As long as Wu Jiu reports our contribution, our master won't treat us unfairly. Jian Wushuang seemed to not care about it. In fact, he did not care about the purple crystal spiritual liquid indeed. He felt that it was more important to fight against a top expert. Let's go back, Jian Wushuang said. Then they returned to the Heartless Sect. Shortly after this, Wu Jiu and the other experts of Bloody Blade team also came back. The Bloody Blade team succeeded in this action. They not only rooted out the Wing Gang, but also killed the two chiefs of it. After returning, Wu Jiu and other two protectors immediately went to meet the master of Heartless Sect. The ninth squad gathered in their own manner, waiting quietly. Hee, our squad got the limelight because of Swordsman, Xue Ying said with a smile. Swordsman could kill a top expert on the Bloodmoon list by himself. I think the name of Swordsman will show up on the list soon. Our squad can benefit from it. I wonder what prize our master will award us. All the members of the ninth team looked forward to it. They had made a great contribution to their sect. Therefore, they should be rewarded. Shortly after, Tai Shan came back, with a bad look. Looking at their teammates, especially Jian Wushuang, Tai Shan wore a complicated expression and spoke after taking a deep breath. We were fooled by Wu Jiu. He brought Shen Tianyu to meet our master, but he didn't mention us and said he killed Shen Tianyu with great efforts. Chapter 285, Challenging the Protector. Chapter 285, Challenging the Protector. What? All the members of the ninth squad were furious. He did not even mention us. Ha, he killed Shen Tianyu? That's ridiculous. He did it by himself. Bastard, how dare he claim the honor? Shame on him. Tai Shan and the other teammates were indignant. Then they looked toward Jian Wushuang. They did not really mind if Wu Jiu claimed the honor, because Shen Tianyu was not killed by them, but by Jian Wushuang. Swordsman. Xue Ying lowered his voice. Jian Wushuang spoke with a faint smile. I don't care about how he claimed the honor and reward, but he didn't mention my contribution. Does he really treat me as a fool? Jian Wushuang's expression became cold. He could not tolerate such bullying. Obviously, Wu Jiu made a fool of them. Bloody Blade team, gather. A resonant voice sounded. Jian Wushuang and the other teammates suddenly raised their heads. It's Wuzhou's voice, Tai Shan said. Come, let's have a look. Jian Wushuang moved forward. In the vast martial arts practice field, Wuzhou sat up straight in a chair, several jars of wine placed by his side. The experts of the Bloody Blade team stood in front of Wuzhou. Wuzhou spoke with a flicker of joy in his eyes. Today, we attacked Winggang and swept to victory. Everyone made a contribution. I decided to reward you with jars of Skyheart wine. You can have a drink. Skyheart wine? The legendary Skyheart wine? It's said that a small pot of Skyheart wine is worth more than 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. Such a huge jar equals 10 pots of it, that is to say, it should be worth 10,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. Looking at the jars of nectar, the other experts began to swallow their saliva, except that the 9th squad sniffed at it. He claimed the honor. Our sect master must have given him a large reward. Now he wants to comfort us with several jars of wine. Tai Shan sneered. How shrewd he is, several teammates said in private. Jian Wushuang shot Wuzhou a glance and lifted up the corner of his mouth. Then he strode forward. Protector Wuzhou. Jian Wushuang spoke while standing opposite Wuzhou. What's the matter? Wuzhou still sat there and glanced at Jian Wushuang. I heard Protector is good at spear techniques and has killed 11 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm within 15 minutes. Because of it, you entered the Bloodmoon list. I wonder whether you dare to have a fight with me. Jian Wushuang spoke so loud that all the experts heard it. The word, dare, was full of deliberate provocation. If Wuzhou disagreed, the other experts would laugh at him in private and would say a Protector, the top expert on the Bloodmoon list, did not even dare to accept the challenge from an ordinary member of Bloody Blade team. How smart Swordsman is. Tai Shan and other teammates said with a smile. The other experts of Bloody Blade team looked at those two with a strange look. Protector Wuzhou, dare he accept it? Wuzhou's face turned red with anger. He knew Jian Wushuang did this because he claimed the honor which belonged to their squad. He snorted, you want to fight with me? An overconfident idiot. Okay, I'll accept. But I need to remind you that I never show any mercy in a fight, which means I might kill you. As long as I can fight with the top expert like you, I won't care about my life, Jian Wushuang said while laughing. Well. Wuzhou slowly stood up, a strong aura soaring around his body. Accepted, accepted. Protector Wuzhou accepted his challenge. It's hard for Wuzhou to refuse him. I don't know what the boy is thinking. He dares to challenge Wuzhou. He is looking for death. Protector Wuzhou has entered the Bloodmoon list for a long time and ranks high. Today he destroyed the Wing Gang and killed Shin Tianyu by himself. How powerful the Protector is. He must be comparable to a half-saint expert. Who is the boy? Doesn't he overestimate himself? I've never seen him before. He should have just joined our team. I know him. He's called Swordsman, who was brought by Bei Mu and Leng Yang. I hear both of them wanted to recommend him as Protector. It seems that he can't be a Protector because his cultivation is too low. Many experts began to talk about it. They did not know of Jian Wushuang and looked at him with disdain. However, the members of the 9th squad had seen Jian Wushuang's real strength, so they felt confident about this fight. Those people don't know it is not Wuzhou but Swordsman who killed Shin Tianyu. Tai Shan sneered. Wuzhou dared to accept. Just wait and see, he will regret this. Swordsman, beat him. The other experts of the 9th squad roared in their hearts. Jian Wushuang stood dozens of meters away from Wuzhou, who held a long black spear. Swordsman, you've just arrived at the Tang dynasty and just met a few experts. I'm afraid you've had fights with lesser experts, so you don't know the experts on the Bloodmoon list well. Today, I'll show you, Wuzhou said, with a contemptuous look. I am looking forward to it, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. His triple-kill sword was already unsheathed. What a pity. Our Bloody Blade team will lose an expert. After finishing his words, Wuzhou suddenly pushed off with his right leg and dashed out like an arrow. In the blink of an eye, he jumped over a dozen meters and unleashed his long spear toward his opponent's chest, with a harsh sound of piercing the air. It seemed as if a poisonous snake had stuck out its tongue. How fast? Too fast. That's the strength of experts on the Bloodmoon list. We're all at the peak of the Yang Void Realm, but none of us can hold a candle to Wuzhou. The other experts of Bloody Blade team could not help but sigh. Faced with the stroke, Jian Wushuang just gave a faint smile. Chapter 286, A Twist. Chapter 286, A Twist. Swoosh. A chilling flash of a sword flew out and hacked right at the point of the spear, freezing Wuzhou's attack for a moment. Oh! Wuzhou was amazed. He blocked my attack so easily. That's right. When Bei Mu and Lin Yang recommended him as a protector, they said that they couldn't beat him in a short while even in cooperation. Though it was due to their not trying their best, it still proved that this guy is much stronger than an ordinary expert in the peak of the Yang Void Realm. It seems that I have to show a bit more strength to take him down, Wuzhou thought. He twisted his hands in a quirky way to throw his long spear at Jian Wushuang. Along with this move, a huge vortex suddenly appeared. Whoosh! 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 He launched 3 attacks in succession with his spear, and each of them was as fast as lightning. Jian Wushuang brandished the triple-kill sword and withstood the attacks. Bright sun. A sliver of light flashed in Wuzhou's eyes. He raised the spear high and thrust at Jian Wushuang quickly. Jian Wushuang held his sword up to defend himself. Though he succeeded, the power of the attack pushed him down, and the ground where he stood cracked under the force. Thunderous explosion. With a loud shout, Wuzhou held back the spear and then thrust again, like a dragon rushing at its target. Brat, go to hell. The dragon was so fast that Jian Wushuang could barely defend himself by putting the sword across in front of his chest. 2 forces crushed together, throwing Jian Wushuang away as if he was blown off by an explosion. He fell on the edge of the martial arts practice field and bumped into the walls, cracking it into pieces. Powerful. So strong. The other members of the Bloody Blade team widened their eyes in shock. Humph, arrogant stupid, don't blame me when you see the King of Hell. Wuzhou snorted. But just as he finished his speech, with a slight crack, from the broken walls emerged a figure who slowly walked to him. He didn't die. Wuzhou looked at Jian Wushuang in amazement. He is still alive. Not injured at all. He looks fine without even a scratch. The members of the team were all astonished. Protector Wuzhou, I thought you were as strong as you claimed to be. But it seems like you are not. I'm really disappointed, Jian Wushuang said, shaking his head. Wuzhou was in a daze for a second, while the other experts of the Bloody Blade team were stunned. Having shown his strongest abilities, Protector Wuzhou was still nothing more than a disappointment in Jian Wushuang's eyes. No wonder you rank below 600th on the Bloodmoon list, Protector Wuzhou. To tell you the truth, you are not even close to Shintianyu. Jian Wushuang started moving as he was speaking. Just in a moment, he crossed over 30 meters and came up to Wuzhou. With his arrival came a puff of fog, coming into being the realm of sword essence that wrapped Wuzhou up. In the fog, suppressed by the sword essence, Wuzhou could hardly move. Just then, a shaft of dazzling sword light suddenly appeared and dove straight to Wuzhou from above. Frowning, Wuzhou quickly thrust at the light with his spear. Clang! With a loud sound, Wuzhou was forced to stagger backward, stern-faced. But in the very next moment, sword flashes struck at him successively with frightening power and at an unbelievably fast speed, like roaring storms. This guy, Wuzhou hurriedly waved his spear to block the unceasing attack in horror. Just in a breath, he successively blocked several attacks, but soon he found himself not able to keep up with the speed of the attacks. I can barely withstand the next attack. Wu Jiu's heart tightened. A cold metallic flash of the sword that shone like the light of the sun soundlessly reached Wu Jiu's ear, making him chilled to the bone. But at that moment, he was not able to struggle but could only watch the flash getting closer to his face. As the sword was about to pass over his head, it suddenly changed its course. Clap! The sword slapped in Wu Jiu's face, making a loud sound, and his face began to turn into red and swollen. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he smashed to the ground. Swoosh! The sword flashed again, and this time it hewed the ground beside Wu Jiu, whizzing past his arm. Crack! The center of the martial arts practice field was cracked into two parts by a long, bottomless rift measuring tens of meters. The crack was in the shape of the sword. Looking at the rift beside the ground where he was lying on, Wu Jiu swallowed hard, his throat getting dry. He knew that if that attack had aimed at him, his body would have been cut into two parts like the ground. Protector Wu Jiu. Jian Wushuang walked slowly up to Wu Jiu, looking down at him. Trembling, Wu Jiu stared back at Jian Wushuang. You, Wu Jiu wiped the blood off from the corners of his mouth, trying to get up. Seeing Jian Wushuang suddenly get closer to him, Wu Jiu was more frightened and took a step back, saying, "What are you going to do with me?" At this moment, Wu Jiu was in extreme fear. Nothing. Jian Wushuang drew closer to Wu Jiu and said in a low voice, "Protector Wu Jiu, I'm not interested in being a protector or the purple crystal spiritual liquid, not because I am afraid. Don't piss me off, or I'll let you bear the consequences. Though you're the expert on the Bloodmoon list and very strong, you're not made of iron and will die if you have your throat cut." Jian Wushuang stared at Wu Jiu sharply up close. Wu Jiu was trembling, and he could feel Jian Wushuang's killing intent. He finally understood that because of Jian Wushuang, a strong expert beyond imagination, the 9th team could kill Shen Tianyu. "By the way, it's time for you to give back what you borrowed from me, Protector Wu Jiu," Jian Wushuang continued. "What things?" Wu Jiu was stunned. "Shen Tianyu's body. I heard you took away the body, but I didn't say that you did not need to return it," Jian Wushuang replied with a casual smile. Upon hearing this, the experts of the Bloody Blade team were suddenly clear about the whole thing. Chapter 287, Sword Tide. Chapter 287, Sword Tide. I never thought that Shen Tianyu was not killed by Wu Jiu at all. I had been wondering about this for a long time. Shen Tianyu ranked much higher than Protector Wu Jiu on the Bloodmoon list, so naturally, he should be stronger than Wu Jiu. Back when they were in the Golden Wing City, Protector Wu Jiu and Protector Bei Mu together could only suppress Shen Tianyu. How could it be possible that Protector Wu Jiu killed Shen Tianyu all by himself? Now, it has turned out that the one who killed Shen Tianyu is Swordsman, not him. Right, only a top expert, like Swordsman, could kill Shen Tianyu. No wonder Wu Jiu would be so generous to treat us to the Skyheart wine. He contributed no efforts in killing Shen Tianyu, but he carried that corpse to get the reward. The surrounding experts of the Bloody Blade team began to talk about Wu Jiu with disdain, and Jian Wushuang with worship, although they had been dismissive of Jian Wushuang earlier. Like the law of the jungle, the law of this world was that whoever possessed the greatest strength was the king. "Protector Wu Jiu, you should give me back Shen Tianyu's body, shouldn't you?" said Jian Wushuang, coldly staring at Wu Jiu. At that time, Wu Jiu could not find a word to response. "Doesn't matter if you can't. It took me and my brothers of the 9th team much effort to kill Shen Tianyu. We don't mind that you claimed the honor, but it will be too much for us if you want to keep the treasures awarded by His Excellency for yourself." Jian Wushuang smiled faintly, but suddenly he came close to Wu Jiu to talk to him in a low voice. "Wu Jiu, hand the treasures over and I'll let what happened today be, or..." Jian Wushuang stopped talking, but his strong killing intent showed what he wanted to say. Wu Jiu looked pale, and unwillingness filled his eyes. But at this moment he was like a fish in Jian Wushuang's net, and all he could do was to give Jian Wushuang everything the master awarded no matter how unwilling he was. "That's more like it," Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Not even sparing a second glance for Wu Jiu, he turned back and walked up to the earthen jars of wine. He carried one jar on his shoulder and said, "Brothers, since Protector Wu Jiu wants to treat us to this wine, we'd better accept his kindness, shouldn't we?" "Wow! Wow! Wow!" Shouts of joy resounded through the whole martial arts practice field, and many experts of the Bloody Blade team came up for the wine and started enjoying drinking. As for Wu Jiu, no one bothered to care about him anymore. With one jar of Skyheart wine on his shoulder, Jian Wushuang went back to his manor with the others of the 9th team. They gathered around a stone table, drinking, laughing, and talking. "Haha, who would have thought that Wu Jiu's expression when he was defeated by Bro Swordsman would make me so delighted," said Tai Shan, laughing out loud. "Humph, Wu Jiu is always domineering. What a pleasure to see him fall down today," said Mo Ying with a smile. "I heard he ordered others to keep this a secret when we left." "Ha ha ha, how funny." Seeing that Wu Jiu was beaten and even humiliated by Jian Wushuang in front of others, every member of the 9th team felt more than happy. All this was due to Wu Jiu's bad character, and what he had done this time was bad enough for others to sneer at him. Before this, they could do nothing to him but swallow their anger. Now with Jian Wushuang, things were different. In the world where the strongest could lord it over all others, even though Jian Wushuang had defeated Wu Jiu and put him to shame, Wu Jiu could not do anything for revenge. Instead, he would have to be in awe of Jian Wushuang as he was much stronger than him. "Captain Tai Shan, in this interspatial ring is the treasure awarded by His Excellency, please take it and share it with other brothers." Jian Wushuang took out an interspatial ring and handed it over to Tai Shan. "Why do you give this to us?" Tai Shan frowned. "You killed Shen Tianyu all by yourself, and we have nothing to do with this honor. This ring. There is nothing more than the purple crystal spiritual liquid in this ring, so take it easy. What's more, since all of you exerted your efforts, how can I keep it myself?" Jian Wushuang said with a smile. "Haha, Captain, Swordsman is not the kind of man who would care about purple crystal spiritual liquid. If he gives it to us, what we should do is to accept," said Mo Ying, grinning. Tai Shan smiled silently and refused no more. "Fine, we share it equally." "Good." The others of the 9th team began to allocate the purple crystal spiritual liquid in the ring with excitement. Jian Wushuang did not join them. He left alone and walked to the center of the courtyard, sitting down with his leg crossed and his eyes closed. Meanwhile, the mist made of sword essence spread all throughout from his body. Sword fog. "Haha, it's very generous of His Excellency to grant a reward of so much purple crystal spiritual liquid. No wonder Wu Jiu would treat us to Skyheart wine, cause compared with the liquid he was awarded, the Skyheart wine was nothing," Mo Ying said and laughed loud. But suddenly, he seemed to realize something and looked Jian Wushuang's way. "Swordsman is." The others of the team followed his eyes. "Hush. Be quiet, don't disturb him," Tai Shan said in a low voice. The others nodded. They stared at Jian Wushuang blankly by the stone table, without a word. Under their gaze, the mist given off by Jian Wushuang slowly transformed. The mist was getting thicker and thicker, and when thick enough, it began to turn into drops. In a jiffy, the drops gathered into a river, waving like a tide. The area filled with mist already became a zone surrounded by the tide. Sword Tide, the second move of Sword Realm. It only took Jian Wushuang 3 days to master the first move of Sword Realm Sword Fog. As for Sword Tide, he had been digging into this all the time and was only one step away from mastering it. Earlier today, when fighting with Shen Tianyu and Wu Jiu, he performed Sword Fog and simultaneously obtained a brand new insight of this move. It was not until now that he was able to perform the second move Sword Tide. The power of Sword Tide was much stronger than that of Sword Fog. Tai Shan, Mo Ying, and the others of the team were all shocked looking at the tide of sword essence, and they felt a sense of crisis as if they would be killed once they were blanketed by it. His battle strength improved. The 9 experts of the 9th team stared at Jian Wushuang, eyes widened, and their expression was beyond description. Chapter 288, The Outbreak of the Decisive Battle. Chapter 288, The Outbreak of the Decisive Battle. Beep. The tide around Jian Wushuang suddenly dispersed before Jian Wushuang opened his eyes with a smile. Swordsman, you just... Tai Shan and the others walked up to him right away. With a bit of luck, I made some small breakthrough in sword skill, Jian Wushuang said. He seemed to be in a good mood. But his words made the others unable to help sighing. In their eyes, Jian Wushuang was already incredibly powerful, but now he became even stronger. Though it was only a small breakthrough in sword skill, it still implied that he had enhanced of his strength. I'm so jealous of you. Mo Ying sighed, as he was stuck in the peak of the Yang Void Realm for a long time. Just then. Everybody, fall in. A voice thundered in the void above the whole Heartless city, where the Master and the protectors of the Heartless Sect hovered over at the top, with their powerful aura spreading all over the place. The voice caused a stir in the whole city, and a large number of figures began to rush skyward. The members of the 9th team all headed up. Something is wrong. Tai Shan frowned. Let's get there quickly. The 10 members of the team immediately rushed away. In the void there were assembled numerous experts, most of whom were in the Yin-Yang Void Realm because of them being able to step on air, and there were even thousands of experts floating therein. Probably, the experts above the Yin Void Realm in the entire Heartless Sect have gathered around. All of you, follow me. The Master of Heartless Sect shouted and led the crowd out of the city. Among the crowd, Jian Wushuang knit his brows slightly. Not only His Excellency himself but also all the experts in the sect are here. It seems like they will have a life-and-death struggle with the Demon's Island. Just as Jian Wushuang had expected, it didn't take them long to get to a huge city, which used to belong to the Heartless Sect, but now a fierce fight had erupted there. The two sides fighting were exactly the Heartless Sect and the Demon's Island. Listen up, everyone, tie a red cloth around your arm and kill every living thing that doesn't have one. The Master of Heartless Sect commanded. The experts of the Heartless Sect immediately took out a red cloth and tied it around their arms. Begin, kill. Eyes burning with anger, the experts of the Heartless Sect followed the order, rushing into the city. When they arrived, the experts of the Demon's Island who were impatiently waiting, swarmed at them quickly. Ha, you heartless old guy, watch how I raise your sect to the ground today, yelled a well-built bare-headed man, standing at the top of the void with a jet-black long staff in his hand. The aura of the level of half-saint spread out from him, which made him look like a war god. Damn you, Baldy. Let's see who will be the standing one at the end, the Master of Heartless Sect said cruelly, dashing straight toward that bald man. In a twinkling, the fight between the two half-saint experts began. The experts of the Heartless Sect and the Demon's Island tangled together, and their battle cries reached the heaven. Go to hell. Slay them, fight. Go to hell, bastards of Demon's Island. The experts of the two forces fought fiercely, intensifying the battle instantly. The Bloody Blade team, which Jian Wushuang belonged to, was in an intense fight with a team of Demon's Island about its equal. Go to hell. Hair matted and eyes bloodshot, a savage man appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, chopping toward him with a mountain-cutting broadsword. A cold light flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. He stabbed toward the man at the speed beyond imagination, like a snake soundlessly attacking its prey. The triple-kill sword pierced through the man's heart, leaving a large hole through it. Swish! A streak of blood-red light came over beside Jian Wushuang like a ghost. It was a black-robed woman, staring at Jian Wushuang coldly. Jian Wushuang slashed at her backhanded. The woman was blasted away by the powerful force and died directly without any struggling. Seeing that 2 people in the peak of the Yang Void Realm died in Jian Wushuang's hands in such a short while, the surrounding experts were all shocked and terrified. How could he be so powerful? Who is he? It looks like that he could be comparable to the experts on the Bloodmoon list. Ha, he is called Swordsman, the top fighter in our team. Jian Wushuang's teammates were overexcited, while the others might be amazed or surprised. I'm so delighted. It's been some time since I fought with such gratification, said Xue Ying while fighting with an expert of the Demon's Island. Suddenly, a long spear aimed at his back. What the hell? Spotting the attack, Xue Ying's expression changed. Just when he was about to avoid it, the owner of the spear was put down by Jian Wushuang behind him. Watch out, bro, Jian Wushuang said to Xue Ying. Thanks. Xue Ying raised his eyebrows before going on fighting. Long sword in hand, Jian Wushuang swept over the battlefield around him, slaughtering the experts of the Demon's Island with ease and sometimes, lending his teammates a hand. The triple kill sword also began to quiver frantically in the killing. Is the triple kill sword going to have a breakthrough? Jian Wushuang's eyes twinkled with pleasure. The sword had restored to a magic weapon of a low 2nd grade for a long time and helped him kill many experts afterwards, mostly because his father killed 2 experts in the Saint realm with the sword and the Saint's blood supported its restoration. After that, Jian Wushuang killed many experts himself with the sword, which leveled the sword up to its peak as a magic weapon of a low 2nd grade. Now, signs showed that it was going to break through the peak. I should kill more to help the sword. Jian Wushuang laughed and shuttled through the throng like a ghost. Puff! 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 As he moved, the experts of the Demon's Island successively fell under his sword. He picked up the stronger ones to kill, and among the dead, the weakest were at the initial Yang Void Realm while the most were at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Actually, many experts on the battlefield had noticed his killing spree. Who is he? How could he be so strong? It's so easy for him to kill an expert at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. He definitely should be on the Bloodmoon list. I heard there are only 7 protectors in the Heartless sect on the Bloodmoon list. When did it get one more? Damn it! Since our 7 devils were busy fighting with the 7 protectors of the Heartless sect, none of them is free to handle him. Chapter 289, Xue Ying. Chapter 289, Xue Ying. As they were among the great 4 forces in Skywave Prefecture, the Heartless sect and Demon's Island were well matched in strength. The Master of Heartless sect and the Lord of Demon's Island were both half-saints. Previously, there were 8 protectors in the Heartless sect, all of whom were listed on the Bloodmoon list. But, now there were only 7 left because one of them had been killed. Likewise, Demon's Island also had 7 devils on the Bloodmoon list. So, the seniors of each force were currently equal. However, all the devils were busy fighting with the protectors, so they could not stop Jian Wushuang at that moment, which allowed Jian Wushuang to freely kill without facing any resistance. But his slaughtering attracted their attention. Ha, it's Swordsman. Seeing how Jian Wushuang was slaughtering the enemy, Beimu and Leng Yang could not stop laughing. These 2 had fought with Jian Wushuang before and knew that Jian Wushuang was as strong as the experts on the Bloodmoon list. So, they were not surprised at what they saw, but the other protectors, who didn't know, were amazed. Is that him? The man introduced and recommended as a protector by Beimu and Leng Yang? Yes, he is so young and his realm isn't high, so we doubted his qualifications to be a protector, but now it seems that we were too biased. He is young as well as strong enough to be on the Bloodmoon list. That bloke, Wu Jiu, who was battling one of the devils of Demon's Island, glanced at Jian Wushuang maliciously, his heart filled with hatred. Ha, Baldy, it seems that you will be the one who is defeated. The laughter from the Master of Heartless sect resounded throughout the area after he noticed Jian Wushuang's excellent performance. Never thought you would have a hidden expert as strong as an expert from the Bloodmoon list. The Master of the Demon's Island, a bald man with a strong aura, said as he snorted. Obviously. Though the master of the Heartless sect was smiling, he was a bit surprised in fact. No wonder Bei Mu and Leng Yang, two men of vision, would recommend him. He is indeed very strong, and with him, we are going to win the battle. Certainly, they were currently winning the battle. Without Jian Wushuang, it would have been hard to tell who would be the winner since the two forces were neck and neck. But Jian Wushuang broke the balance and tipped it in the Heartless sect's favor. Like what was happening now. Jian Wushuang had killed many young Void Realm experts from Demon's Island, freeing up the experts of the Heartless sect to help out other teammates. In this way, their advantage was constantly increasing. It looks like we're winning. The bastards of Demon's Island must die. Send them to hell. The experts of the Heartless sect roared, overly excited. Baldy, your island is going to lose. The cold voice of the master of Heartless sect reverberated from above, where a pitched battle was going on between the seniors of the two forces. Lose? Will I? The bald man asked while smiling weirdly. Seeing that smile, the expression of the master of Heartless sect immediately changed and uneasiness arose in his heart. This battle was instigated by Demon's Island. Their strength was similar to the Heartless sect, so they wouldn't start a war without a special reason. Everyone knew that, once the battle started, it would cause destruction to both sides. But, Demon's Island still started one. There was definitely something fishy about this. As the master of Heartless sect was lost in his confusion, a flowing red streak of light plunged into the battle at an amazing speed, quickly reaching the side of a protector. The red figure began attacking the protector. Holy God! Shocked, the protector waved his scythe in an attempt to defend. The scythe collided with the flowing red light and was knocked away. The next second, the flowing light grabbed at the protector's head. A half-saint. Fear gripped the protector's heart. With a cracking sound, his head was twisted off by the flowing light. Finally, the flowing light revealed itself, a red-robed old man with a goatee. His withered fingers and sharp nails made his hands look like a falcon's talons. With a head in one hand, the old man smiled rather strangely. Damn it! In the air above the battle, the master of Heartless sect stared fixedly at the old man with a gloomy expression. Xue Ying. He recognized him. Xue Ying, a half-saint expert, ranked 131st on the Bloodmoon list, only a little lower than that of him. If they were fighting face to face, he was confident that he could beat him. However, at this moment, he had another half-saint expert to deal with, the Lord of Demon's Island. With him being forced to fight with the Lord of Demon's Island, there wouldn't be anyone who could hold Xue Ying back. Bastard, you asked Xue Ying to help you? The master of Heartless sect looked grim. Ha, did you really think that I would have waged a war against you without Xue Ying's help? The bald man replied back and sneered. On the battlefield, after killing a protector of the Heartless sect, Xue Ying turned to his second target, Wu Jiu, another protector. Oh, no. Seeing Xue Ying rush towards him, Wu Jiu was so scared that he thought of nothing but escaping and leaving the battle. But, Xue Ying was so fast that he easily caught up with him and killed him in the very next second with cooperation from one of the devils of Demon's Island. The second one. Coldness flashed in Xue Ying's eyes, which then fell on the third target, Protector Leng Yang. Boom! Xue Ying flew towards his target like a flowing red streak of light. Back when Xue Ying first plunged into the battlefield and killed the first target, the triple kill sword in Jian Wushuang's hand began to fiercely tremble, signifying that a breakthrough was coming. The triple kill sword made it. Jian Wushuang could feel the power of the sword bursting, and a glint flashed in his eyes. The triple kill sword had been upgraded from low second grade to middle second grade. Small as the upgrade might be, it still brought the power of the sword up a level. Jian Wushuang had seen Xue Ying kill two protectors of the Heartless sect, so he decided to take action. A half-saint, so what? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes and his battle intent became stronger. Since my sword skill, as well as the power of the triple kill sword, are better and stronger than before. These normal experts from the Bloodmoon list are no longer a threat to me because of my current power. Only the upper level, half-saint experts are worthy opponents. Xue Ying, 131st expert on the Bloodmoon list. I can't wait to feed my sword with your blood. Chapter 290, Fight with a Half-Saint Expert. Chapter 290, Fight with a Half-Saint Expert. The Heartless sect had previously gained the upper hand with the help of Jian Wushuang. However, after Xue Ying showed up and killed 2 of their protectors, the whole situation had changed. Xue Ying was rushing toward the 3rd protector, Lin Yang. Lin Yang, run! Bei Mu, who was busy fighting, cried out. Damn it, Lin Yang said while looking toward Xue Ying with a dark expression. He wanted to escape, but he could not find a chance because he was tangled up with a devil of Demon's Island. Not far from him, Xue Ying's eagle-like sharp claw was lashing towards him like lightning. Lin Yang's expression changed. Suddenly. Boom! Suddenly, the surrounding area surged and a huge whirlpool appeared. In the center of it, there was a dazzling streak of sword light that was directly slashing towards Xue Ying. If he did not block it, the attack would cut Xue Ying in two. Xue Ying frowned slightly before immediately blocking the streak of light with his sharp claw. Clang! The hits collided with each other, letting out a metallic clash. Xue Ying raised his head in astonishment, wanting to see the attacker clearly. At this moment, the attacker's leg seemed to take the form of a long whip as it smashed toward him, with a harsh sound. Xue Ying immediately retreated. Lin Yang, are you all right? Jian Wushuang moved towards Lin Yang. Swordsman. Joy flashed across his face as Lin Yang instantly expressed his gratitude. Thanks. You're welcome. Let me deal with him. Jian Wushuang looked toward Xue Ying with a smile. Okay, just be careful, Lin Yang said while nodding heavily. Jian Wushuang and Xue Ying stared at each other. You reckless dude, go to hell, Xue Ying said with a sneer. He looked like a flowing red light as he rushed forward, launching another attack with his sharp claw. This time, 5 scratches emerged from the space in front of him. Demonic Claw. Because it was being performed by a half-saint expert like Xue Ying, the scary claw attack was even more terrifying. However, Jian Wushuang just smiled coldly. He took a step forward, wielding his triple-kill sword to collide with the space in question. Selfless Sword Technique, 6th move. This brilliant stroke collided with the sharp red claw marks that had suddenly appeared. With a huge booming sound, the scary power exploded. An instant later, the power from the streak of sword light and the flowing red light spread out in all directions. Dozens of experts were affected by it. Some of them experienced cuts to their chest or shots to their legs. The most unlucky ones had their heads cut off. The power was so fierce and intense that dozens of corpses within a 100-meter radius began falling down. What happened? The experts who were currently locked in a fierce fight became completely stunned. All of them looked toward Jian Wushuang and Xue Ying with a terrified expression. Swordsman, it's him. He blocked the half-saint expert Xue Ying. Many experts of the Heartless sect immediately recognized Jian Wushuang. This guy, Xue Ying was shocked. Even as a half-saint expert, he had not gained the upper hand when fighting with a young boy who had only reached the initial Yang Void realm. Jian Wushuang wore a cold smile at this moment. Then his roaring sword essence spread out like the rising tide and lashed against Xue Ying. What? Xue Ying felt as if he was stuck in mud, which affected his speed and strength. Earlier, he was able to fight evenly against Jian Wushuang, but now he was losing ground. Boom! Xue Ying was forced to retreat. I tried my best, but still lost ground. Xue Ying was surprised. Jian Wushuang's smile. I have the upper hand in a head-on confrontation. Since I can't fight against him in a head-on confrontation, I'll kill him using my speed. Xue Ying thought. With cold eyes, Xue Ying suddenly disappeared and a red streak of flowing light flashed through the air. In the next moment, he appeared by Jian Wushuang's side, reaching toward his opponent's head with his cold, sharp claw. Shua! The sharp claw directly glanced off the boy's head, but it didn't leave a drop of blood. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang suddenly appeared behind Xue Ying. His triple-kill sword took on the appearance of a thunderbolt and lightning as it lashed out. How fast! Xue Ying thought in shock, turning around to block it. Jian Wushuang's powerful swordsmanship erupted. Streaks of sword light spread out at an amazing speed, shaking the surrounding area. World origin also erupted, instantly causing Xue Ying to fall into the sea of sword shadows. Xue Ying widened his eyes and struck out with his sharp claws. He barely blocked those attacks, but could not find a chance to fight back. More importantly, he was besieged by the flowing tide of sword essence, which restricted his strength and speed, so he could not catch up with Jian Wushuang. I'm not his match. Xue Ying's face fell. Though he was reluctant to admit it, that was the truth. This guy is terrifying. If I continue to fight with him, I will die. After a while, Xue Ying lost his will to fight. Lord of Demons Island, you never mentioned that the Heartless sect had such a powerful expert. Xue Ying yelled with a snarl, while crazily blocking the blows. The forlorn roar was so loud that all the experts in the battlefield could hear it clearly. In the next moment, they all felt surprised. Lord of Demons Island, I promise to help you sweep out the Heartless sect, but I have to protect myself first. Now that my life is threatened, I can't keep my promise. See you. Xue Ying roared in a low voice. Then he turned to run away. Xue Ying, who was a half-saint expert, ranked 131st on the Bloodmoon list, was escaping. Chapter 291, Slaughter. Chapter 291, Slaughter. All the experts were astonished. They were shocked indeed. They did not expect that a half-saint expert would run away. Xue Ying, the Lord of Demons Island, was also stunned while recalling Xue Ying's words. His life was threatened. A kid in the initialing Void Realm could threaten his life. No matter how shocked they were, Xue Ying was definitely running away. However, Jian Wushuang had not agreed to let him escape. Since you came, stay here forever. Jian Wushuang's cold voice, full of laughter, resounded through the area. Then he immediately chased after Xue Ying. As Xue Ying's speed was affected by the realm of sword essence, Jian Wushuang easily caught up with him. Kiddo, I'm leaving. I've decided I don't want to be involved in your fight. Don't push me. Xue Ying glanced at Jian Wushuang and cried out. Don't push you. You attacked and killed our protectors. Didn't you already go too far? Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice, but sneered in his heart, it's not easy to meet an opponent like you. I won't let you go so easily. Go to hell. Jian Wushuang rushed toward Xue Ying. You really want to kill me? Xue Ying roared with a scary look. I'll have a try and see whether I'm able to kill you. Jian Wushuang grinned. Then his soaring killing intent spread out. The sky seemed to darken. Faced with such tremendous killing intent, other experts could not help but feel frightened. The moment Jian Wushuang raised the triple-kill sword high, a towering phantom giant appeared behind him and held up a long sword as well. Suddenly, the stroke slashed down. Blood-emptying technique, the first move. Boom! The murderous stroke appeared in front of Xue Ying. Faced with its power, Xue Ying could not help being frightened. This is Slaughter Origin. Xue Ying was shocked. Jian Wushuang had used World Origin while fighting with him. Though it made him perfect in all aspects, it limited his strength so that his attacks were not as offensive. That was the reason why Xue Ying dared to say that Jian Wushuang could not kill him. However, Slaughter Origin was totally different from World Origin. Slaughter Origin emphasized killing, which was more offensive power than World Origin. The power of this stroke Jian Wushuang performed caused the area to shake. I'm in big trouble. Xue Ying widened his eyes and made up his mind to fight to the death. Blood Spirit. With a terrifying look, Xue Ying was suddenly surrounded by a blood light. The streaks of light gathered in his palm, and his fingertips, as well as his eyes, immediately became extremely red. Suddenly, Xue Ying rushed forward, like a wild wolf pouncing on its prey in the dark. Then he waved his claw. The stroke pierced the air, humming violently. After colliding with the killing sword. Boom! The strongest move Xue Ying was able to perform was completely overwhelmed. How is this possible? It surprised Xue Ying when his strongest move was defeated so easily. The sword in your hand, Xue Ying stared at the triple kill sword. Now he knew, that long sword was extraordinary. Don't struggle. Accept your death obediently. My sword can't wait to drink your blood, Jian Wushuang said with a sneer. Then he appeared in front of Xue Ying. Against the realm of sword essence, Xue Ying could not escape, but he still tried his best to struggle. After a while, a wave of sword strikes stabbing a body was heard. Then Xue Ying's aura began to vanish. Xue Ying let out a snarl, resounding throughout the whole area. Lord of Demons Island, you set me up. The rumble made the whole battlefield quiet. Everyone was in shock as they watched Xue Ying's body falling down. Everyone looked awed at that moment. A real half-saint expert died like this? A young expert in the initial Yang Void realm actually killed him. Run, run now. Lord of Demons Island, floating above the area, let out a terrifying cry. At this moment, Xue Ying's words still resounded in his ear. After Xue Ying died, Demons Island suffered from low morale. More importantly, Jian Wushuang had the time to attack the other devils of Demons Island, and he was able to slaughter all of them easily. There was no doubt that Demons Island lost this fight. It was an extremely miserable defeat. They invited a helper, but still failed in the end. All of this resulted because of one person, Jian Wushuang. The Heartless sect has such a powerful young expert. Has he really only reached the initial Yang Void realm? The Lord of Demons Island shook his head with resignation. As Demons Island started to retreat, the Heartless sect seized the opportunity to hunt them down. Kill them all. Many experts of the Heartless sect roared with excitement while chasing their opponents. Jian Wushuang did not follow the crowd, because he did not put those devils in his eyes. Now he fixed his eyes on the Lord of Demons Island. Whoosh! Jian Wushuang dashed out and appeared by his target's side in an instant. The face of the Lord of Demons Island immediately changed. Swordsman, we can work together to kill the Lord of Demons Island. How about it? The Master of Heartless Sect looked toward Jian Wushuang with a smile and spoke politely. Okay, let's go, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Crap. The Lord of Demons Island narrowed his eyes. The next moment he ran away without hesitation. You can't escape. Jian Wushuang stared at the Lord of Demons Island and knew his intention. He immediately launched an attack and the realm of sword essence swept out like the tide. The Lord of Demons Island was stuck inside, and his speed suddenly plunged. Jian Wushuang and the Master of Heartless Sect did not give him any chance to strike back, directly rushing forward. Chapter 292, The First Protector. Chapter 292, The First Protector. Lord of Demons Island was not much stronger than Xue Ying, so he was only able to struggle for a short period of time before he was killed by Jian Wushuang and the Master of Heartless Sect. The Baldy had been fighting against me for many years. But he is finally dead, the Master of Heartless Sect said inside, while standing in front of the Lord of Demons Island. Then he looked toward Jian Wushuang and said, with a smile, Swordsman, your realm of sword essence is really special. Without your realm of sword essence that restricted his speed, we would not have been able to kill him so easily. It's just a little trick, Jian Wushuang replied with a casual smile. Sword realm was a special and powerful sword skill. As a superior third-grade sword technique, it was not weaker than an inferior second-grade sword technique. You have lots of tricks, Master of Heartless Sect continued with a smile. Today, you killed a half-saint expert by yourself. Compared to your strength, I feel ashamed of myself. I believe the Bloodmoon list will have your name soon. You will definitely rank high, at least higher than me. The Master of Heartless Sect was very clear that Jian Wushuang was stronger than him. After all, he could only try his best to defeat a half-saint expert, but he could not kill such an opponent. However, Jian Wushuang could kill a half-saint expert in a straightforward fight. After Xue Ying and the Lord of Demons Island died, the final fight eventually ended. The Heartless Sect seized victory, and Demons Island collapsed because of the death of their lord. This fight caused a sensation in the whole Skywave Prefecture. Numerous experts were shocked by the deaths of the two half-saint experts. A name spread through the whole prefecture. Swordsman. A man who had reached the initial Yang Void Realm had killed Xue Ying by himself. Then he killed the Lord of Demons Island with the Master of Heartless Sect. Everyone marveled at his strength. The next day, the Bloodmoon list was updated, with a great change. Swordsman ranks 99th. He has reached the initial Yang Void Realm. It's confirmed that his attacks were straightforward and he killed Xue Ying, a half-saint expert whose strength remained at the peak. There were many half-saint experts on the list, but few could kill a half-saint expert with a frontal attack, so our Bloodmoon Hotel affirmed that Swordsman was qualified to rank 99th. With the affirmation from the Bloodmoon Hotel and his battle results, Jian Wushuang's ranking was instantly accepted by the public. Ha, he ranks 99th, much higher than me. The Master of Heartless Sect laughed out while reading the rankings. He was sitting with several protectors in the lobby of the Heartless Sect. He admitted that Jian Wushuang was stronger than him, so he thought it was normal that Jian Wushuang ranked higher than him. Swordsman, you're famous now, the Master of Heartless Sect said with a smile. Ranked 99th? Jian Wushuang wiped his nose and gave a faint smile. The other protectors congratulated Jian Wushuang. Only 5 protectors, including Bei Mu and Lin Yang, survived this fight. Listen, the Master of Heartless Sect suddenly said seriously, from now on, Swordsman will be our first protector. His position is equal to mine. All of you must follow his orders. Understand? On hearing this, the other protector smiled while looking at each other. They started to salute Jian Wushuang one by one. I pay my respects to the first protector. Jian Wushuang did not know how to react. Swordsman, I failed to recognize your strength. So please don't refuse my invitation to be the first protector, Master of Heartless Sect said. First protector, Jian Wushuang thought for a moment before nodding. Fine. Ha. The Master of Heartless Sect laughed out and spoke. Wu Jiu had been in charge of the Bloody Blade team, but now he is dead, so you can take his duty. What do you think? Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded and replied, but I will spend my time focusing on my cultivation, so unless it's something very important, I won't participate. No problem, the Master of Heartless Sect immediately agreed with it and continued, though you are just in the Yang Void Realm, you have the battle strength of a half-saint expert. You don't need to deal with trivial things. Unless I meet a half-saint expert who I can't handle, I won't bother you. That's fine. Jian Wushuang nodded. The news that Jian Wushuang became the first protector and took charge of the Bloody Blade team spread through the Heartless Sect. Many experts were not surprised since they had seen Jian Wushuang's strength during the battle. They thought Jian Wushuang deserved this. It caused a stir in the Bloody Blade team though. The experts of the 9th squad were excited. After Jian Wushuang came back, they enjoyed a few drinks in celebration. The night was as black as ink. Jian Wushuang sat on his bed with his legs crossed while deliberating about his plan. Once I'm familiar with the surroundings of the Tang dynasty, only then I can carry out my plan. A glimpse of battle intent flashed in Jian Wushuang's eyes. On the road to the Tang dynasty, he had made a plan. Now it was time to carry out it. Jian Wushuang moved his mind. Then a blood-red figure appeared in front of him. The figure wore a blood-red robe and a wicked blood-red mask. He stood there with a roaring killing intent, as if he were a death Shura who just walked out of hell. This was Jian Wushuang's slaughter doppelganger. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and gave the triple kill sword to his slaughter doppelganger. From now on, you're Nan. Go ahead. Jian Wushuang gave an order. His slaughter doppelganger nodded slightly and immediately left the room, disappearing under the moonlight. From now on, my slaughter doppelganger will begin to slaughter around the Tang dynasty with my triple kill sword, while I will stay here to meditate on the world origin. Jian Wushuang thought in private. The slaughter doppelganger had its own consciousness, so he could leave it to go out killing on its own. His true self and his doppelganger could work separately. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.